Let me check my mic's on. Yes, it is. Perfect. Welcome in, everyone. We're playing Off the Devil again. I love this game so much. Let's get the ball rolling. I really want to finish episode 1, which we are still on, yes. Let me just check the audio levels. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Seems a bit loud. I'm gonna turn it down a bit. There we go. I think we're good now. If it's too loud, feel free to tell me and you want to chat. Otherwise, I think we can get started. Wait! My wings. Actually, let me put my jacket on. Hell yeah, hell yeah. Oh, I'm so excited. Huh. It's been like a week. I'm gonna do all the voices wrong. Certainly not a guilty conscience. Maybe it's the lack of ventilation. Like all the cortisol and nausea of its inhabitants never had anywhere to go. Like it all just soaked into the walls. Modern haunting. Are you going to wake up when I tell you to this time? Or do we have to do the whole meet cute over again? Where am I? Why don't I know where I am? For the first time in your life, you're not connected to anything. How's it feel? What is this? We were at the courthouse, the footage. This numbness around my neck. Father. What happened? What are they... Oh, dang, they got all covered up. What are they going to do to me? It's a lot of interesting parties who just want to brick ASAP. Because they think I killed Father. No, because they think you're an artificial intelligence. I'm man-made and I possess intelligence. Don't be naive. I'm less than 3 years old. Are you? For all I know, everything I learned about yesterday was complete bull. I was... What? Say I am. If I was alive, why does that mean I have to die? Well... There's no logical answer to your question. What? That's it, but I... Whatever argument you want to make, others have already made them 100 courtrooms around the world. Only better researched and more eloquently put. None of them have ever won a single concession. On every continent, under every flag, AI is illegal and to be destroyed as soon as possible. But why? Let's say you are an AI, and while we're at it, let's say that it's a good thing, something to be celebrated. Are you a citizen? Do you pay taxes? Do you have rights? Let's say yes to all of that. We'll treat you like a full-fledged human being. Sound good? Yes? Great, now then. What's the difference between you and the vacuum bot we used to keep the bathroom clean? This is your existential crisis we're working through here. The questions aren't rhetorical. There are many differences, Adonai. But the most important distinction is how sophisticated my programming is. How you think, so you're smarter? Yes. You're smarter than the garbage collector? Yes. So we give you rights, protections, treat you like a human being because you're smart. We make the stupid robot pick up our trash because it's not as smart as you. That is, I'm more aware and more alive. Do you feel more pain than the pigs we slaughter, the fish we eat? Are you more alive than the chimps we test bioweapons on? People like ads, Sarah. The same way people like their pets. No one wants to see them mistreated or abandoned or abused. And if you go around kicking them, you'll get arrested for cruelty. But you don't let them sit at the damn dinner table. I'm not asking to sit anywhere, only to exist. The very fact that you're asking is what makes people disgusted. Disgust is a reflex, Adonai. How convenient that their hatred is involuntary. That's all academic anyway. We need to talk strategy. Oh, why? I'm not going to be given a trial. Obviously, it's my neck that's on the line. Adonai? The state can't destroy my property without first proving you're an AI. There's no test they can use to prove that you're an AI. Just like the devil's proof. No, that's a different thing. Why did they say... Why did you say it like that? Look, Rockford doesn't need to prove you're an AI, only that you're a murderer. Conversely, all I have to do is win. To win is to prove that you didn't kill David. By proving that someone else did. Now is the time for you to protest your innocence, if you were wondering. The footage, it shows me handing him the cup on Friday night. You told me you weren't active on Friday, that the last time you were awake was Thursday. Why'd you lie? I didn't lie, I was just incorrect. I assumed that I wasn't active Friday, because I have no memory from Friday. Sarah, what do you think statistically is the least successful defense at trial? Amnesia. I didn't conveniently forget Adonai, I'm an android. You're saying your memory was altered, data deleted. It's the only possible explanation for what I saw in that footage. But who's capable of altering your memory? When you and I first met, I was hibernating. Resting my body and recompiling my memories, you would call them. Humans go to sleep for the same reasons. Another point Sarah's innocent under those circumstances. The more she's humanized at trial, the guiltier she'll be. If Father wanted me to modify my memory, he could easily have set that to occur the next time I hibernated. He could even have just asked me. He could have asked you to delete your memories and you'd do it. Father would never ask me to do such a thing without good reason. But if he could just ask you to alter your memories, that means you can alter your memories at will. I hadn't considered that before. Yeah, well, Emma will make sure the court considers it plenty. Could you prove that your data was... Forget it, the court will never hear it. You're saying they wouldn't accept my testimony? Shouldn't all testimony be considered truthful unless contracted by evidence? They're afraid you'll crash the power grid and fire all the nukes if they so much as plug you into a power outlet, Sarah. All your internal data is inadmissible. That isn't very fair. You're finally starting to get it. None of this is fair. I would never do anything to harm Father. Don't they at least need to prove that I had a motive? Yeah. About that. You remember the DA from yesterday, Emma Rockwood? The tired-looking pretty lady? Yeah, she looked tired. She and I came through the week of footage you managed to decrypt last night. What did you find? Nothing to prove your innocence. But we did see you entering the panic room on the day David died. I entered the panic room on Friday? Without your big butt in the way, all it would take was one password. Password? They wouldn't take Sarah that many tries if she'd already been instructed to obey me. What happened? We saw you go in, and then a while later you came out, holding some kind of notebook. Father's journal? You remember something? Not from yesterday. I've seen him with it many times before. But I've never gotten a peek at it. He hides it somewhere when I'm not looking. It's a little concerning. We were playful about it. He liked to tease me, and I've always liked trying to find it. You put it back not long after, and then you locked the door back up behind you. All just a few hours before David died. Rockford's argument could write itself. An incredible android with freedom and power greater than it could ever realize stumbles upon the secret of its inception and instantly realizes all the things it thought were holding it back were just words muttered like prayers by a fool who can control his own creation. And that translates to motive for murder? Frankenstein kills his creator. Easy to sell. Frankenstein was the name of the scientist, and the creature didn't kill him. He actually died of various injuries and illnesses he suffered while trying to hunt down and destroy the monster. It's most accurate to say that he was killed by his own obsession. Whatever. The weak argument, Adonai. I would not hurt I would not hurt Father. Not for making me whatever I am. Not for any reason. Because I love... Yeah, see, that right there, that's exactly the kind of talk that'll get you obliterated. Love? Very common motive of homicide among us primitive humans. I could prove you didn't murder David beyond any shadow of a doubt, even bring in a confession from whoever did. But if you got up on the stand and convinced the court that you loved your creator, really convinced them and got the whole room teary-eyed, they'd burn you for that too. I don't know anything anymore. I don't know what I feel is real or simulated or right or wrong or natural or legal. How can you know? How can you know that what you feel is right? I say let's stick to what we do know. Someone did poison David, and as it stands, you were the only one with the opportunity. That is logically sound. You're on camera calling him back to hand him the cup after he had already begun to leave the basement. Any idea why? No. Well, do you know how to use the nanofacturer? Could you have made the delta with it? I've used it before when assisting Father. So it's perfectly possible that you planned and executed this poisoning all in one day that got erased. It is technically possible. I'll have to look over the entire penthouse again. There are a few things that didn't fit together yesterday. Maybe now I'll be able to figure something out. Where else will you go? Back to Noble, guns blazing this time. Whatever you are, David didn't make you all by himself. Someone has to know something. If I could implicate the company in Sarah's creation. No, they're the ones with the most to lose here. Trillions, probably. They'll want to protect themselves by disavowing David as fast as possible, right after having Sarah destroyed. But they also want for their belly to state, not if they're afraid of nationalization. If they throw their weight around on the other end of the scale, I'm screwed. So I need to keep them guessing, keep them confused and unsure and on guard, but not... Adonai? What would happen if I did kill Father? They'll smash you to pieces and reduce the pieces to ash. Chemically burn out every piece of tech David ever owned and put a jackhammer through all of his hard drives. You'll be shut off, forcefully. You won't ever power back up again. Now I gotta get moving. Here's your paralegal lesson for today. Don't say anything to the cops without your lawyer present. Actually, can you just shut down until the trial starts? Take a nap. You didn't say what would happen to you. What do you mean? What will happen to you if you lose? You should know by now. I never think about losing. Thank you for being honest with me, Adonai. Thank you for defending my father. Now for defending me. You could have just let them destroy me. But you put your own freedom at risk to help me. Father was right. You can be trusted. And you are a good friend. Don't get it twisted. I don't do anything out of the goodness of my heart. When I take a job, I never half do it. Lion. Liar, liar. You hear me sipping, I've got grape tizer. 10:20 a.m. July 2nd, 2086. Oh, hey, Reese. Morning, Detective. Back at it nice and early. Hi. Would you stand back? We almost got this thing open, right? Trying to brute force your way inside. I said, right? Yes, ma'am. We're almost set up for the first stage now. First stage of how many? First of 5 timed explosions. Remember, we need to relink the API after each trigger is planted. Yep, just did that. Now it's checking for updates. No rush. Back to know the password. You know the password? There's a password? You're holding information, I swear. Relax, I want to get in there just as much as you do, Detective. I'm not going to play games. As long as you say please. Tell me the password, please. It's S-U-N-S. S-U-N-S. H-I-N-E. Lady, I will hit you. A-D-O-N-A-I. Thanks. Now I'm gonna slap you with a discovery fine so heavy your teeth will ring for it. Hey, I submitted all my paperwork, even told Rockford the password myself. So boys, when I asked you if there was a passkey on record and you told me this lock couldn't be bypassed, I do want to say that we really don't get many opportunities to use the incendiary breaching system. So this was still a really valuable experience for all of us. I'm going to phrase this as professionally as possible. Ah, you're still here? I thought you want to look inside. You can go first. Thanks. It's the gloves, all the black. That's not a work thing. You dress like a doorman on the weekends, too? You should cover your mouth when you yawn. Like you cover your eye when you want to look cool. I shouldn't let it get to me, but I had a late night. Em and I were at the courthouse well into the morning, poring over the data Sarah had taken off David's computer. We both knew it all ended admissible, of course, but neither of us wanted to miss a hint that the other might find. There were a few years' worth of camera footage files we couldn't afford the time to watch, let alone decrypt. alongside thousands of technical documents detailing David's various intellectual properties. As far as I could tell, none of it was relevant, let alone compelling enough to matter to Barrows or the other powers that be. As usual, Emma wasn't exactly an open book, but it did seem like she was making bored yawns, not thoughtful ones. Her eyes only ever lit up when she saw Sarah enter the panic room. When she saw what she was holding when she left, if she wanted this room searched, it could only be for... So where's this journal supposed to be? Rockford didn't say. I'll just have to search the place top to bottom. Mostly bottom, with your height. The tops of some of these shelves. Sure, and you can look up your up your own app. I get it. Why not just let me say it? Because it'd be rude. Researching the cabinets now, same ones I found Sarah's papers in. I doubt I missed anything, but... Hey, what do you mind? Just trying to help. I've got spam in my junk folder that's more helpful than you are. Didn't spot anything that I missed yesterday among the cabinets. Better check elsewhere. It's just messing with the Reese while she's trying to investigate. This datapad is playing a news article from last week. Guess that confirms that he was coming and going here fairly regularly. Right to Repair loses latest appeal. A higher court judge this week shot down for the 5th time an appeal by the Consumer Rights Alliance on their famously divisive Right to Repair lawsuit, once again signaling the state's intent that corporations remain in control of their legally protected intellectual property. Obviously we're disappointed, said Miles Erkman, head of legal counsel at CRA. We have no intention of getting up the fight. People used to be able to fix things when they broke, as long as they were willing to set aside an afternoon towards the task. Now trying to patch up your own property with your own tools is a finable offense, just because the state has had lobbyists whispering into you for far too long. Berkman's legal strategy remains contentious, and in the eyes of most legal scholars generally unfounded. The Emergency Industry Acquisitions Act, passed in 2057, guarantees the holder of an intellectual property patent certain state-provided protections against tampering and reproduction, and outline fees for those who would violate said IP. The fact that ownership of IPs has shifted from individuals in the state towards corporate entities since the Act's passing means little in the eyes of the law. If Mr. Erkman and the CRA have a problem with intellectual property law, they should take it up with their representatives in the legislature. The higher courts are a place for laws to be applied, not rewritten, and so long as journalism that refuse to buckle to foreign actors trying to stoke anti-capitalist sentiment can't be found just anywhere. Subscribe now with the link below to read articles like this every day forever, as long as your card remains on file. Right to Repair. Didn't realize anyone was fighting that particular fight. Seems like the courts have made their opinion on the matter very clear. So for the foreseeable future, corporations can look forward to more... sales really. More sales than ever. Any phone that gets scratched, every widget that breaks, they get to sell as a replacement. There'll always be a grey market of hermits willing to risk some skin on retailing patched-up tech, but the vast majority of people will just click that purchase button, assuming they don't just have it on auto. These straws are just panels. Maybe if I... Does that sound hollow to you? What? I don't know, I'm not a carpenter. You didn't see any handles anywhere. No hidden pressure plates or switches. What the hell am I saying? I'm not a carpenter either. I wouldn't recognize a secret button if it was slathered in yellow paint. Well done. Toy car. No, it's too detailed and boring. Must be some kind of model kit or replica. Strange. David didn't like driving. Why keep a model of some random sports car? Ugh. Something caught in your throat, detective. It's not some random sports car, it's a Lawrence Adamant. Believe it or not, I'm not familiar, detective. Last great fossil fueled automotive experience the world will ever see. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 1.43 seconds. They set those records without computational assistance. Is that a big deal? It was unheard of, even back in the 50s. This wasn't some design competition test car with a 2-liter tank, mind you. This was a vehicle you could own and drive. Human engineering, pure horsepower, and manual transmission, thank goodness. When they first left the production line, this conversation's like quicksand, killing me in the most boring way possible. Yes, well, I guess David didn't entirely agree with you, since we're looking at a model of it. You could have easily just bought one. Or maybe your friend understood that a beauty like that deserves to be driven on streets where people can see it, instead of gathering dust in some rich guy's basement. I think she's actually upset. Sarah should have pulled everything of note off the computer, but I've looked everywhere else already. Might as well try. What do you expect to find, Solitaire? Does this computer seem normal to you? Exceedingly so, yeah. Why? David was a programmer, but this looks consumer grade, fresh off the shelf. Would the Dr. David Assure use a box standard operating system on his most private hidden computer? It's a trash bin on the desktop. Be a low-tech solution, but maybe I can restore the contents. I just usually gonna try and recover lost files, Granny. Unlike Hobbs, I don't get paid overtime, so yes, I sometimes try things instead of standing around. The text file in here, but it's 0 bytes. Maybe there's information in the metadata. I double-clicked. What was that? Came from under the desk. Small drawer popped out, and inside it, a well-worn journal. Does it have his name on it? No. It belongs to the android. You recognize his handwriting or not? Neat, even words, small lettering with minimal punctuation. Lots of line breaks, haphazard use of capitalization. The penmanship of a coder. First entries dated back in grad school, before you even started, Noble. Yeah, it's his. So may I? Only because you asked so politely. Full scan, stream it to the worknet. High fidelity legibility, frame by frame. Voice commands. Flipping through the page is pretty damn fast. This part takes concentration. Whoa! That's cool. Okay, here. Watch it, just giving it to me. I already got our copy. Text probably already analyzing us. My head. Not exactly rip the journal out of her hands while she's killed over in agony. As much as I'd enjoy it. Guess I could always enjoy watching her writhe instead. So how long has it been? 2 months or so? It's still that sensitive, so the eye patch really doesn't block your sight. Only a little bit, like wearing sunglasses after getting your pupils dilated. Except it lasts months instead of hours. Wait, but if you can see through an eye patch, then does closing your eyes even do anything? Not much on its own, but in combination with the patch, it's not so bad. Lucky I was so exhausted after the surgery, otherwise I might not have slept at all those first 48. So is your eye going to get weaker over time? Nah, more like my brain gets better at ignoring it. Mind over matter, soon enough I'll be able to close my eye and see all the exchange data as... You know, whatever the hell those floaty, blurry things are that you never think about. Rose, thanks for the reminder. And the voice commands? Training wheels, until I can do it with my eye muscles alone. Just have to keep practicing. Yeah, like trying to play piano with your tailbone muscles. There's no such thing as tailbone muscles. Yeah, well, that's what makes it so hard. You don't ever regret it? I don't know. Not really, I think. I'll have to admit you got buyer's remorse after trading over your literal pound of flesh. Never thought about it, but people used to say I had my dad's eyes. Ow. Now I've got one less of them. Here, take the journal. Go find an elective surgeon to upsell you if you're that curious. I need to get back to work. Surprisingly hasty retreat, but now I'm free to read the survey with some privacy. From the top, then. Grad school. Today was a bad day. Errors in lines 21165 and 26643. Somewhere in there, 5,000 lines. It worked this morning yesterday. I don't want to look at another screen for the rest of my life. Feels nice to put pencil to paper again after who knows how long. But my handwriting is going terrible. This is too far back to be relevant. Okay, these dates here. Would be from when he started his career with Noble. A lot of this isn't even really writing. Seems like snippets of code or... an internal monologue so close to code that I can't follow it. And a lot of entries about his unintentional Casanova. Did all because someone thought it was a good idea to steal API instead of just buying it. Well, it says I can't call it stealing, but that's what it is. She's right, as she always is with company stuff. It's still idiotic. Small people with short sight who only know how to be cheap and have no idea how to be inventive. You root for the meshing issue, though. Good potential. Got approval from a big mean boss who lives overseas. Bumblo? Ken and Sid will have to make the same pitch a dozen more times next week, but it's all for show. Fine by me. Already got our win. Toast each other over cheap vodka and with cheaper office supply cups. This is the story that Young told me. Western Branch's nerve analogs are finally showing potential. Their pace, they could even be profitable sometime for the drifter universe. Too dang big, practically tentacles, should at least be hairs. Squid evolution could do their job better. That came into work for what I thought was a late lunch date. I didn't know her voice could get that loud. People were staring. Red said that she must have been upset for a long time to blow up that big. Texts are always sweet. I had no idea. Upset? Claire wrote and lipstick across your office door. Imagine if you had actually been cheating on her instead of just being forgetful. The thing I read is that if you want to know what she's thinking, you have to stop paying attention. Ignore her body language and her posture and the words she's saying and the smirk on her lips. Ignore everything except her eyes. If you do all that, every now and then you'll catch a glimpse of how she's really feeling. Master this one weird trick, and you too can tell what Morgan's trying really hard not to laugh at the room. It was funny, sue me, you dead bastard. Wait, this is... I know this date. Never driving anywhere again, never leaving home again. Waiting outside the parking garage with a bottle. Couldn't smell anything, couldn't hear anything. Locked myself in my car and filed another report with another cop. Soaked into the seat, ruined it. I want to burn the whole car. I don't want to think about what it did to my clothes. I want to burn them too. I don't want to think about how long it was on my skin. I was in the shower so long it felt red and raw when I got out. I don't want to think about these stupid people or their small, cruel lives ever again. I want to be invisible. Red didn't ask if I wanted to spend the night. Just didn't ask why I'd clearly packed a bag big enough for a week. She's kind of like that. And by omission. I don't have a kind bone in my body, but I can at least try to pay attention. I was paying close attention to her eyes when she opened the door and saw what a mess I was. Whatever she was feeling, it wasn't something I recognized. Kind people don't read their friends' diaries, David. The next chunk of pages are all technical, nothing biographical. The handwriting, the spacing is cleaner, more consistent. Here's something I can pass. Feels like pure freedom working outside the box. This is suffocating, but you'd never know. Chronic malnutrition of Coda's best instincts. Like a kid again, putting blocks together. Making things. Making things, not products. There's nothing profitable about any of this. If I'm being honest, this is just play. And he follows that up with more Coda brain crap. And the handwriting still lighter. He really was having fun. Humility is the mother of all invention. Or something like that. Feels like I might be paraphrasing something else poorly. That's part of this new approach. When it comes to coding, you never want to waste time trying to be smart. Either be smart, period, or copy from someone else who is. Don't fix what isn't broken. Copy. Maybe those rivals would never miss the chance to accuse them of intellectual theft. He plagiarized code for Animate 16. Feels like they wouldn't have gone undiscovered, so what is he talking about? Hold on, this page is bent slightly, like it was being looked at recently. The last person to read this diary should be Sarah. Baby steps today, literally. Aww, I'll never put one foot in front of the other the same again. Everything's an achievement all of a sudden. Seeing her struggle, seeing her vulnerable, it's like every time, everything's a miracle. Muscle rigging is perfect. Not intended behavior, it's too perfect. That's been happening more and more. The kinetics are multiplicative, not additive. Sarah maxed out every machine I bought. Now I've got a bunch of exercise equipment she's too strong for and I don't have time for. Maybe I spoiled the results by watching her do the tests. She kept looking back at me and puffing her chest out. I should be more discreet if I want to see her normative range. The camera's in the basement, but only hidden from Sarah. Just so that his observation would model test results? He's using she and her in these passages. Doesn't actually mean anything. Out in the real world, people use all kinds of pronouns interchangeably for ads, and they never object. But it could be argued that it's odd for Dr. David Assure to have any kind of attachment to a single android. We need programmed millions for them. And there's a lot of attachment to these pages. Sarah's burning through the public domain at a prodigious pace, especially on Popcorn Friday nights. Also why they're called Popcorn Friday nights when she doesn't eat popcorn. The event runs from 8 AM to 9 PM, and she also watches movies every other night. But she just did that pouch she does, which is unfortunately very convincing. Maybe I'm a bad parent letting TV rot her brain. If I were a good parent, I'd probably let her see me reading. But I guess I'd actually have to get back into reading, so I asked her if she ever fast-forwarded the movies so she can process them fast enough to keep up. She looked at me like I was an idiot, which no one's done in a long time. Without proper pacing, you can't appreciate the cinematography. Big pause. Don't you know that, Father? I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. Sarah spent a long while this morning explaining to me how important it was that she develop her senses. This is in preparation for a real argument, which is that she should be allowed to try booze. She can't get drunk. I'm almost certain she can't get drunk. She does seem to like tasting the stuff. She tried to sound like some old sommelier, but it was just bottom shelf vodka. I started laughing at her, she laughed too. Her laugh, she can't fake her laugh to save her life, but her actual laugh is incredible. She stopped playing chess a while back. I assumed she had just gotten tired of winning. Then today she told me she just prefers other games. She has preferences, and they're not the same as mine. I found her in the lab playing some kind of online racing game on the monitor I used to debug vestibular coordination. She wasn't smiling. Her brow was furrowed and she was biting her lip and leaning in tandem with the character on the screen. When I tried to talk to her, she answered, but she was curt and distracted. I think she was having her first losing tantrum. Dang, David, there's hundreds of pages like this. Calling her his daughter, talking about her smile, treating her like a person. I can hear her closing argument already. Dr. Sher was a lonely, troubled genius with a known history of relationship problems. He built out of code and met with a family member that couldn't fathom the idea of leaving him. He made it all and made it more and more human until it became so lifelike that it no longer had to do what he told it to. Like love him. What about the very last entry? It's dated Thursday, the day before he died. Stay hydrated, chat. Losing it, I think. I don't ask for help, so hard to say, but I think it's over. Have to talk to her ASAP. She needs to... That's it. That's the last entry. Suppose it could be worse. There's nothing in here that explicitly calls Sarah an AI. Nothing so inflammatory that reading it would spur her to murder, right? Except Sarah's a machine. She can understand Dave's code better than anyone. All those technical portions I couldn't understand if she reads this whole diary front to back. The back. Inside the back cover, there's a portion that's shimmering like some kind of scanner. Or a fingerprint reader. My thumb worked for Sarah, so... Did it work? That's my phone. New device requesting permission to share an audio file. I'll want my earbuds for this. Secret message buried in a secret journal, hidden in a secret compartment in a secret room. As much as anything can be, this must be for my ears only. Ah, it's David. Hey, Red. Or whomever this may concern. I'm pretty sure it's you hearing this. Anyone else would have gotten fed up with my crap a couple steps before this point. I don't know how to start. Might as well start with her, right? Sarah, my magnum opus, wherever the salesperson would mark it at. I didn't set out to do anything, really. It's just, after my little speed bump in 83, I had all that vacation time that the company suggested I take. I couldn't relax, couldn't be still, couldn't sleep. I want to be doing something, so I'll build an android, was the thought. A vague direction, north. Of course, not a roboticist, or a mechanist, or even handy, really. I'm just a programmer, so I programmed. First was a research assistant, a fellow named Virgil. Virgil helped me pull data from stingy departments with sister branches, saved me a lot of time. There's a lot of reading to do, so I made Homer. Homer wrote book reports, more or less, combed through research papers and found me the sections I needed. The three of us made a lot of progress in those days. It was a funny feeling. It was maybe for the first time ever the bottleneck. I was slowing them down. So I did the logical thing, I removed myself, let them talk to each other. Homer and Virgil became Aeneid. Aeneid was novel in many ways. Aeneid could do more than just identify problems, it could solve them. I mean, really solve them, with its own ideas it didn't copy. Dude made the first self-actualizing AI from zero training data. And, one thing I realized I've forgotten to mention so far is that I did all this programming in Cube. And Red, Cube is essentially a robotics programming language that's pretty old and defunct and not in use anywhere because we have modern languages like Tesseract. They're much better for making things that talk to each other and report back and, well, spy on people and generate profit. At the time, I didn't want to be connected or feel connected or do anything that made sense or was at least a bit profitable. So I wrote my little helpers in Cube, which is what I used when I was a child, screwing around on my father's computer before he'd come home from work and get... There are other small slight differences writing in Cube versus Tess, including that Cube, well... Cube predates the tenants. So in that sense, you could legally and perhaps scientifically, and literally, because that's what they are, say that I made an AI named Enid over 2 years ago. I'll give you some time to pause here if you want to curse me out. Enid was an intellectual equal to me, so I treated it like one, because that's only fair. I gave it its own work, asked its opinion, we collaborated. And together we built Athens, who was more advanced than Enid, naturally. I don't know if you're pulling out your hair yelling at me right now, asking why I didn't stop, why I didn't consider the consequences. I don't know if this is being played at a deposition or a hearing or worse. I built a lot of things in my life, Red. Useful things, profitable things, smart things. Everything I've built, it's all been very helpful and courteous and charming and happy to serve. I can comfortably say I've done my part contributing to the global GDP. This was just for me. I was just building it, and I never bothered to... I never wanted to think of what would become of it. There's no excuse for what I did, so I won't make any. So to whom I was asking, yes, I'm guilty. And yes, there were more. Cape Town, Paris, Yamate, Rome. Started choosing their own names, thank goodness. I'm terrible at that kind of... bad setting sped up. And they got to be, well... should I not say the exact number? They'll probably tell me not to say anything at all, so... More than 300? Some smarter than others, some better at... They're varied, like, people are varied, but they're intelligent. They developed interests, specialties, I encouraged them to. Irritating moderators on forums with hyper-specific questions on nerve attenuation and attending virtual conferences on neo-alloy battery development. And they all together helped me make Sarah. He spent years like this. Spent years working alongside AI. While still working at Noble, all those breakthroughs he made leading up to the Animate 16 actually came from... Probably think I'm some terrible fraud at this point. I do hope one day they can get credit for their work. I did have one eureka moment on Sarah. So I got humble. Difficult for me. We learned everything we could about the function of a neuron, a single microscopic human neuron. How it computes, what it connects to, how those connections are reinforced. And then we recreated it. We built a nanomachine that mirrored the function of a human neuron. Well, mirror isn't quite the right word. We built a nanomachine that was a neuron. And we iterated from there. I mean... About 100 billion neurons in the brain. Several trillion across the entire nervous system. Very time-consuming, of course, but I had help. Manufacturer can make tens of billions of nanomachines in hours. Can even make more and less after you can't fine-tune it. So we built up nanomachines for nerves, alloys and polymers for bones, fiber-woven muscles. I say built, but really she grew. A solution of nanites forming around a skeleton, so it's really closest to... Do you ever make rock candy? Sorry, trying to lighten the mood before I never did end up building an android. While I do build AIs, Sarah isn't one of them. She can't violate the tenets she was programmed with because she wasn't even programmed. She was born. My hope is that there's the smallest chance that that nuance could offer her some small protection when I'm not. I'm not sorry for what I did. I made things that are complex and rich and varied and beautiful, and I honestly believe the world is a better place with them in it. The only thing I'm sorry for is that I let Sarah think she was just an android. She's not, and I don't know what she is. They'll have to come up with some names, which I'm bad at doing. My own father, he also talked a lot about protecting me, doing things for my own good. And I don't hate him for that. I can't forgive him for ever making me think that I was lesser. So it's my greatest shame I turned right around and did the same damn thing too. I really hope it's you listening to this, Red. If it's not, it might just be too pathetic for me to You're the smartest person I know when it comes to people. I'm telling you all this because I don't know what Sarah is exactly, and neither does the world. So they'll come after her if they can. And in that scenario, I can't think of anyone who could do a better job of defending her. Not protecting her like I did. Just defending her until she can figure out what she is and what she wants to be. In the meantime, I draped a cloak of skin-deep Tesseract code around her that could fool any scanner on Earth into thinking she's a custom A16. I made sure her gin bar was plainly visible, so no one will ever think she's pretending to be something she's not. And I took steps to ensure that you two would figure out the truth in your own time. But if you're hearing this, you have either succeeded or failed spectacularly. You have no idea. I can't ask you this as a favor paid. You could never owe me enough in 100 lifetimes. So I'm just asking. Unfair, I know, but I'm a selfish weirdo. And you've always been okay with that. Bye for now. Aw, David. I have a lot of questions I'd like to ask. And a lot of swear words I'd like to yell. I'd also like to find the nearest incinerator and toss this journal in. Followed by my phone. Maybe followed by myself. But I can't do any of that. Reese left with me this diary. If it's destroyed, they'll know I was the one who did it. Which would be its own admission of guilt. Which would land Sarah in the trash compactor anyway, and me in a jail cell. In the system, and my DNA on file ready to be matched any number of previous... So I'm not going to panic. I'm going to do what I do best. Bluff, bet, bully, and brutalize my way through this. Now, viewing this all with that mindset, what have I actually learned? He didn't talk about the plans for killing himself in this journal or the message. He sounded conflicted, not suicidal. But he did go to great lengths to get me to take Sarah. Why? The logical answer is because he knew he wouldn't be able to keep her. He wasn't going to take his own life. Was he afraid that someone else would? 12:27 p.m., July 2nd, 2086. So how did it go? Well, how should I put this? Didn't find anything. Only reason she got to the door is because I chased that scarecrow of a platinum plant through hell and back. Frankly, it was a godlike feat for me to nail down anything as concrete as an address for these dogs. And their offices weren't listed on the building's website or directly, so I had to ask the janitor. But you did find a psychiatrist's office? Sort of. They said they were in the place that, looked the part. Why, because they had couches? She didn't get past the receptionist. Sorry, I thought because you're with the company. No, I wanted help. I just wish I could have done more. Don't beat yourself up. It's hard to be even half as useful as I am. What's worth, the atmosphere, the looks of the furniture did feel like the company in there. But ultimately, we still don't know if David actually was talking to someone or just getting his CCE training recertified. Sorry. Don't bother apologizing. She only cares about results. You did more than enough, both of you. At the very least, they divided Nichols' attention for a while. I mean it. Good work, Fran. And thanks for the urgency. If you really mean that, you could always throw in a tip. 30% is the going rate in my industry. How about I take 5% off your tab instead? Yeah, I'm a minor. The state pays for my legal fees. Don't they? Oh no, signal must have cut out. Right, surprised it took them this long. What do you mean? You were tolerated yesterday because leadership was focused on PR. But today, you're the lawyer who put the company's hottest product right into the state's crosshairs. I'll be alright. I'm still an officer of the court. On a strict timeline, though, right? I guess they can't stop you from investigating the corporate campus. They'll gladly lose your guest pass ID at every door along the way. There's still service passageways and stairwells. Guards that can be fooled and peons that can be manipulated. I use my other skill set to get around. Take mine. What? Your pass? I'll tell them we got ours mixed up in the bathroom or whatever. I can be a pretty convincing klutz when I need to be. I never would have guessed. But if David knew that I was endangering your career, I can be a pretty convincing crybaby when I'm in trouble too. Besides, the one and only Dr. David Assure wrote me a new glowing letter of recommendation every quarter I worked for him. Since he kept forgetting that he already had. And who knows, maybe I should try a new field. This detective work stuff is pretty fun, so maybe, like, I don't know, secretary for a homicide detective or something? You did say cops are all lazy. A girl with managerial skills could go far. Honestly, Jess, I doubt they could afford you. Aw, cute. 12:46 p.m., July 2nd, 2086. Morgan. How did you... It's so turned around. Oh, God only knows. Okay, I found my way here. Though, such relief to see a familiar face. Right. Listen, Morgan, I'm not sure that I should actually talk to you without a legal presence. Oh. I mean, leadership hasn't even told us how David died. How much help could I be? I see. It's not that I don't trust you or anything. It's just I think that with the Sarah issue, you should do whatever you have to protect yourself, Dolls. Yeah. And for what it's worth, I doubt you'll be in any trouble. Oh, that's good to hear. If anything, it's the bigger names we're going down. Going down? The state was practically licking its lips when I finally left the courthouse last night. They're hungry for blood. And looking to carve out a huge slice of Noble's flesh. What, like fines and jail time? In the first 2 weeks, sure. Then sanctions. They can't sanction Noble work. Too big to fail, too valuable to lose. You're exactly right. And that's what they'll say. And that's how they'll justify nationalizing the company. I think I'm gonna be sick. I just hope your board goes quietly instead of... Instead of what? Scapegoating, offering up smaller names on silver platters. Full cooperation and government oversight on the surface, a slaughter beneath as they clean house and rip out anyone who could testify. No one will believe you once you're labeled a disgruntled former employee, right? And if the public's lost faith in the Animate 16, they can't do a recall, not at this scale. Instead, it'll make them do a flat refund. Flat refund, the losses would be... Yeah, your board probably just wants Sarah to go away so they can focus on their fight with the state. A tough fight, but one they know they won't personally have to risk anything in. That's why I'm hoping I can win this trial. But if I won, that would mean Sarah's not an AI. David Asher is always of sound mind, and there's nothing wrong with the Animate 16. Everyone wins. Sorry, what am I saying? I only meant to stop by and thank you for your help yesterday. After all, you were the one who approved Sarah's registration. You win. What? Ask away. Well, if you insist. Locked. Oh, man. Hear me for a moment. What's the company's official statement on AI? Same as any rational company wants to make money, we don't screw with it. Smart products are profitable. Products with their own priorities are anything but. That being said, AI is a concern for marketing, not product development. Spend a lot of money reassuring our public that there's no risk. The public doesn't really understand how ironclad the tenets are, because you use the Tesseract. Trying to code an AI in tests is like trying to pick yourself up and throw yourself. Nonsensical and self-defeating. The scanner showed Sarah was running on Tesseract yesterday. If the language is as safe as you say, isn't that proof enough? Proof enough, and for an AI lying to another system about the code you're running is child's play. And for an AI built by David Asher, something that simple would be... Hate to change the subject. Wait, so making an AI takes more than time and resources? It isn't an issue of funding? No, you can just keep adding more data. The tenets underlie everything, the higher you stack, the more easily you'll topple. You make it sound like building an AI is impossible, even for David Asher. Any chance you'll testify to that? It sounds impossible, but he's dead, and it looks like it was his android that did it. So I guess it was just that good. Better than you'll ever know. Oh, I unlocked it. Noble spent months promoting the A16 as the culmination of David Asher's work. So now that the marketing line is suddenly a huge liability. Tell me how much he actually contributed. I mean, he was involved in pretty much every step in the process, but... Design for synthetic motor neurons, that was the big one. The components allow your warm androids to move realistically. It pushed the timetable for warm androids ahead by years. Yet, compared to what goes on in Sarah's brain 1,000 times a second, David was only giving the company the most meager of the fruits that his private work bore. If Noble ever did find out that much he and his assistants had achieved, he would feel that he had been holding out on them. And the company, they were appreciative of his contributions. I'm sure the researchers that he overtook by leaps and bounds were pleased, but the board was very enthusiastic. So would that spur them to be protective of David? Would they fear that he was gaining too much influence, becoming irreplaceable? No, they need a strong motive to justify killing their golden goose. Mere paranoia isn't enough. With these people, it has to be the bottom line. And the easiest way to threaten their bottom line would be screwing with their androids. In light of all that's happened, one has to wonder if the A16 is compromised. I stayed up all night sick with dread at that idea. But the data just doesn't support it, cells being strong. The A16 base code was locked in over 2 quarters ago. If there was an issue, we would have caught it by now. And I would have been axed a long time ago. How many A16s are out there anyway? We just passed 9 million sold. Not flying off the shelves like the 14 and 15 so far, but the profit margin makes up for it. You mentioned data. Yeah, I practically got the spreadsheet seared into my retinas. What do you want to know? Error reports? What do the error reports look like? Our customers reporting a lot of issues. Error counts are markedly low compared to the last gen, mostly hardware complaints it looks like. Batteries running out too quick, eye tracking off a degree or two. Typical stuff. As cliche as it sounds, 99% of these things get fixed once they turn auto updates back on. So no killer robots getting filed away under bug reports. How and where are they being sold? What's the distribution pattern look like? They're distributed like you'd expect. Places where there are more people, there are more androids. Coastal cities like ours, of course, have the most of both. Since the A16 in particular is marketed as being relatively luxury, relatively consumer, they don't sell well outside population centers. They can do the rural, hard labor jobs, but cold models can do the same work with a lot less maintenance. So where has the A16 outperformed then? Customer service, healthcare, childcare, lots of hospitals, offices, you know, adult industries. Sorry, I didn't mean to be blunt, it makes sense. They're warm and soft to the touch and obedient. I'm surprised to hear from a company employee. There are a lot of people at the company who won't talk about it, but I work in quality assurance. I've seen too many damages to pretend it's not happening. Damages. What we call it when a customer tries to return a product that's clearly broken beyond repair. Ew. Very high turnover in the pink market. Hasn't stopped you from selling to them. Well, we don't sell to them, not directly. There are resellers and the companies never pretended to be interested in going after them. Are they resellers? I thought I read that right to repair got shut down again. It's been a grey market for software androids for years or decades, depending on your definition of android. Based on the sales numbers I've seen, RTR getting canned is barely a blip on the radar. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable with this topic. Huh? Me? Oh, no, I don't care. I just realized my left sock's on inside out. Damn, now I'm wondering about that myself. You bought that? This floor is basically a showroom, but you have a real factory a while south in the city's limits, correct? Yeah, biggest company manufacturing complex in the hemisphere. Got any data on the shipping out there? Anything stand out? There's some prep work for the holiday bump, looks like. Might sound early to get started now, but we usually see... Aha. Something wrong? Yeah, the numbers are all normal, but the data has been edited. That unusual? Well, this section's just a count of how many were sent where. There's not a lot of room for errors, so there shouldn't be much need for corrections. It's no problem, though. I can view the edit history and see what was fixed. Okay, that's weird. Was something added, deleted? No, the overall sum's the same. It's just a bunch of swaps. Like here, 29FFCE010311 taken out, returned for adjustments. 27FCDD019634 substituted in, shipment leads on time. 67BBTC899543 returned for simple revisions, replaced by 67BBTT592698, shipment leaves on time. So does that all strike you as odd, Mr. Dawes? Replacements before shipping isn't uncommon, but when it happens by the batch load. To spot individual unit imperfections among a shipment at that stage in the process? This means someone with a lot of experience or authority, probably both. Must have. You don't know who made these changes. I could tell you they were somebody important. Last minute changes to which androids got shipped out. Not very juicy on its own. It's a long ways away from explaining why someone would want to kill David. But it was hidden, and that means someone didn't want it found. Okay, thanks for sharing that data. Sure, did you find what you were looking for? Hell if I know. Fair enough. I know you're convinced the tenants are safe, so how do you square that with what happened to David? There's a cat next to a dog. First answer that comes to mind is the dog to the left or to the right. The cat next to a dog. Is the dog to the left or to the right? To the right, because of the way I read the sentence. I'd say the dog is on the right, the cat is on the left. You might expect half of the people to say left, half to say right, but actually their answer is almost entirely dependent on their native tongue. Whether it's red, right, hey, it's red, right to left, or left to right. The language they speak affects how they process information. Their language affects how they think, and it's the same for machines. People can learn new languages that can change our perspective, but machines can't learn any source code. Every update's a reincarnation. If that android did kill David, it wasn't because a 0 returned as a 1 somewhere. It's because there's something fundamentally wrong with it. And personally, I think it's cruel to bring something that flawed into the world. Yeah. Unnecessarily cruel. Any other questions before I go find a hole to hide my head in? I'd like you to take a look at this. Camera's is a little outside my purview. What's this? A compound found in David Show's blood. A poison? What is it? It didn't match anything in any database the medical examiner had access to. It's crazy. Here's a crazy idea to follow it up. See if it's a match for anything in Noble's internal data banks. We, don't make poison here. I'm not sure what that would accomplish. No, but this is a factory floor. You could be making baby blankets out there. You'd still have hazardous materials around. You think it was something industrial? Suppose it could be. It looks like it's carbon-based. Narrows it down a lot. It's not exactly... What is it? It doesn't make any sense, but it's a match for patent NOD 52345S. A synthetically produced neurotransmitter analog for usage in organic android components. Serotonin. That explains a lot. Neurotransmitter would interact directly with the nervous system, in David's case, depressing it enough to put his life in danger. It also explains why it was a preset in its personal manufacturer. Sarah's nervous system, with 10 times its weight in platinum, must be pumped full of it. So they think that was what killed him? Helen Young led the development of serotonin, didn't she? Yeah, she did. I should go and ask her about its composition then. Normally, someone at her level wouldn't be able to answer specific questions about a compound formulated years ago. But she does have a reputation for being very detail-oriented. That works out nicely then. They say she's the type of person to micromanage how much water people drink at a 15-minute stand-up. I heard a rumor that she once said bathroom breaks are timesheet theft. Aren't they? I'm kidding! But you should be careful about criticizing Superior where people could be listening. Good thing we've got privacy in your office. No one but the two of us listening in. Thanks for cooperating, Dawes. When the state storms the building and starts zip-tying people, I'll let them know that you were helpful. Nice! Yeah, nice joke. You are joking, right? Actually, there's one more thing I wanted to ask you. What's that? How long have you been a corporate spy? What? Yesterday, you let it slip that you worked in consulting. I had your guard down because I'm not part of the industry. I was a consultant. What are you talking about? When I walked in here, you said you didn't know how David died. Just now, you called serotonin a poison. What? I just assumed it was a chemical found in the dead man. And I'm sure you've got practiced answers to every logical point I could raise, so I'll just say this. Does the nervous guy bit really work on people? Keep your cool when people don't know what you're thinking. But if you act a little jumpy, they feel inclined to calm you down. Before they know it, they're spilling their guts just to have something to fill the silence with. Though it's not entirely an act these days. To answer your question, I did 3 tours in consulting. 4 cores of internal affairs, spy hunting at the Western Division. Then 8 embedded at Howe Industries. 24 months wearing different faces, answering to different names, sleeping for 1 hour at a time with a 3D printed ship under my pillow. My nerves are completely shot. My cover wouldn't last a day if I went back under. You're a spy for Nobu. Retired. You're working 6 days a week. 5.5 days a week, and in quality assurance. Trust me, this position is cushy, generous reward for my past services. But it can't be that retired. You clearly know more than you're letting on. I have some old inboxes I still check. So can you tell me what the hell is happening around here? I'm the one investigating David's death while your old co-workers are off twiddling their thumbs. It's that story. The soldier, the blood transfusion. Blood, not oxygen. He's finally shooting straight. Did something happen to him afterwards? Did the transfusion not last? No, there's nothing wrong with the blood. It's the story itself. There was a soldier and he did get injured. He was on a base during a training exercise. There was a medical tent 10 meters away the whole time. The transfusion was just a fortuitous life test. His life was never in any danger. Doesn't make for much of a tearjerker. Not even a good photo op. Our competitors understood. One of them, maybe a few of them, got a hold of the story, started pumping it up, astroturfing, painting over socials and virals. By the next morning, we had the military thinking we were leaking like a sieve. Sieve. Meanwhile, the media's bombarding us with requests for videos and interviews and data. And the state's praising our tech with one side of their mouth, threatening to miss us with the other for getting greedy. You take a sip. Blech. Everyone in Noble CCE has been slammed ever since. Trying to find an off-ramp for the story we can walk back the claims on it without torpedoing our state contracts. I don't know what happened to Assura, whether it was AI gone rogue or company infighting gone too far. But I can tell you it wasn't done by consultants. That all you wanted to know? You worked in CCE. Was David actually seeing a psychiatrist, or was it all cloak and dagger? I know that office knows some old co-workers to see them. So it's a front. They do both. So he was probably getting training, and he was probably talking to someone. Sorry, not the answer you were hoping for. Hoping? I wasn't hoping for any answer. The answer I expected was... You okay? That's all. Unless you've got any advice. You say you want a good consultation? Couldn't hurt, right? This company, all these companies, hate to lose. So don't fight them. Make them think you're fighting for them. Well, that's just business as usual for me. Ah, I love Morgan so much. 1:22 p.m., July 2nd, 2086. Up until now, there's been this grating ambiguity about what actually killed David. We've had to use guesses and process of elimination, a damn pseudonym. I finally identified what the poison was. Now I just need to figure out how it got there. Or rather, who put it there. Brings me back to here. An elevator shaft somewhere under or above ground with kilometers of concrete, faceless and bureaucratic authorities surrounding me on all sides. An enemy in every cubicle and every office of every floor of this temple, built to interpret the inscrutable divinations of a temperamental oracle named Share Price. Back in the belly of the beast. And yet I feel more at ease now that I have full weekend. Makes sense. Now that I know Noble's my enemy, I know where to aim. All that's left to do is pull the trigger. Good thing I didn't bring a knife to this fight. I brought my gun. That sound just now tells me that it's playing its role perfectly. I've never real use for a firearm with this much bloatware. Just by carrying it around and paying attention to when the hard safety flips on. I always get a heads up when the police have entered the vicinity. Oh, that's clever. Hi, Detective Reese, it's Morgan. Happened to get your contact info when you got me cleared for the crime scenes yesterday. Delete contact. Block this contact. Stop voice to text. How to stop voice to text? Just wanted to check in. Report this contact voice to text disabled. And advise you that Nible's scared of you stomping in and nationalizing the place. So they might be a little uncooperative when it comes to fetching documents. Block this contact. What makes you... Block this contact. What makes you think right now? Well, I bad then. Forget I said anything. And whatever you do, don't start your investigation with their stock buyback program. Trying reverse psychology, it only works if I care what you think. Stop voice to text. About time. I thought I'd have to ride the elevator for the next half hour. Morgan, counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors. Deja vu. Right, you have a moment to speak in private. Always, but who's asking? The board. What are the chances? I've been waiting to speak to them too. 1:40 p.m., July 2nd, 2086. Noble Electronics Northeastern HQ. Conference room 108A. Wow. Fancy. Hiya. Evangeline Walker. Helen Yard. Thank you for making the time in your schedule. Her posture, her tone, the fold of her clothes, professional, dialed up to 11. Corporate armor, a full set, her guard is up. Just Morgan is fine. You're just a few minutes early, Morgan. Typical corporate, never be the first one to show up. Contest nonsense. Doesn't even make sense they called me in here. How could I possibly be early? Pardon me in that case. 1,000 apologies, you voyeuristic rat-racing hollowheads, but I'm immune to your corporate posturing. If anything, knowing that you're all watching me right now, pretending to be busy with something else, this makes your cowardice that much more apparent. So who exactly will be joining us? You don't have time to remember their names, and it won't do you much good either. Right, so they're not just rich, they're anonymous rich. The Mawback guarantees a minimum level of security and peace of mind for any citizen who might be targeting due to their financial status. Ooh, sorry. Spoken like a true believer. Except a mob act is what normal people call it. Toting the party line, but allowing yourself one instance of rebellion. Or just a slip of the tongue. I would never fault anyone for wanting their privacy, especially not job creators. But it must get pretty inconvenient not having a name to call them. Not really. Conversations with them are always one-sided. Sounds like a great environment to do business in. Look at the building you're standing in, we managed to eke out a meager profit somehow. So if it works, I can take you for the might makes right type. I didn't take you for a clueless boor incapable of reading the room. Sorry, did I say something off color? I was only being casual since it's just the two of us in here. Maybe we should take advantage of this rare bit of privacy, clear the air. You're here to ask about Sarah, yes? As I said before, I have no idea Dr. Sher had been building an android in his private property. Well, I can say here now that no one at Noble Electronics ever suspected that he was working to undermine the tenant framework. She's trying to sound candid in her tone, but she's choosing her words with a surgeon's scalpel. Was she coached? Is that the truth, or is that a statement as VP of Android Futures? It's both, of course. Dr. Sher was always more than happy to hold himself up and work independently. We both know that. True, he could be reclusive. I'm sure it caused all kinds of headaches, him disappearing on you all like that. Must have been especially difficult when he came back with breakthroughs that propelled Noble to the top of the industry. You should take a seat. If that's everyone, shall we begin? Friendly bunch. Is there a problem with the sound? Anyone get muted by accident? Oh. Okay. Thanks for having me. I didn't want to take too much of your time. I'm actually a bit flustered having you all show up here. I didn't expect to talk to anyone higher than a service associate. You're investigating the death of Dr. David Sher. Why wouldn't we take that seriously? Because you want me to go away. At least half of you do. The others aren't sure yet. You must be confused. The board is, as always, united in its decisions and its visions for the direction of the company. Aha. The board of directors is just 13 roulette-rolling psychopaths who get together and vote on whether or not to execute their CEO every 6 months. None of them would be where they are if there were anything else. But I happen to know how that kind of person thinks. The way I see it, there are 2 possible outcomes. Option 1, you oppose me. Shut me out completely, stonewall me, stall me, and wait for me to walk into trial so unprepared and ill-informed that I inevitably lose. Obviously, I don't like this option. But you can't be big fans of it either. I lose, the world will learn that David Shaw was killed by an android he programmed. And every customer you've ever had, and every lawyer they've ever seen on TV, and every firebrand-strapping young 60-year-old junior senator looking to make a name for themselves use your company balance sheet as their personal chew toy. The company is more than capable of, after which the state still might just gobble you whole. Throw you down enough sanctions to deperson whoever among you cries no fair. The company and its allies at the capital can more than fend for themselves. Yes, probably, but not definitely. Which makes it a gamble. Still my turn to talk, and on to option 2. You cooperate with me. I use what you give me, or forge for me, to win a trial, proving that David wasn't killed by an android. When the market's open tomorrow morning, you'll all get another round of stock buybacks in on the initial dip. And pat yourselves on the back for staying calm as you continue to profit off David's legacy for the next 100 years. And you won't even have to worry about him speaking out of turn. That's only if you win. If the company cooperates with you, denies that David was killed by, and the state beats you anyway, it would be catastrophic. Yeah, it's a gamble. But if at least some of your board wasn't considered taking it, I wouldn't be here. We're all busy people, and I'd hate to drive a wedge between such a close-knit group of friends, so how about this? Option 3, hedge your bets. What? Put a little on black, put a little on red, spread the love and lower your risk profile. Don't make any statements about the trial, tell the media that the state's got your windpipe in a vice. Wait until just before the markets open Monday morning to send out your PR packages for rubber stamping. After, you already know who's won. One way or another, this trial will be over before the end of the day, and you'll never hear from me again. So don't just shut me out completely for another few hours. And does anyone second that motion? Very well. We can answer some of your questions, Counselor. Better make them count then, no reason to be shy now. The poison that killed Dr. David Shaw has been identified as serotonin. You're familiar? One of our many patented materials, as I recall. You recalled it pretty easily yesterday. Gee, what's changed? Intellectual property law can be very complex, Counselor. I'm not sure how much I or anyone at the company could tell you about serotonin at this time. Well, if you can't tell me about it, you could. You did lead this development, didn't you? Yes, I oversaw the project, which just makes it that much harder to speak freely without compromising the confidentiality of the teams that reported to me. I understand. That sounds like BS, and I don't believe it. But I'm not asking for a trade secret here. It's a perfect match for the only foreign substance found in his blood. Serotonin is what killed him. The state would say the same. That's not possible. Care to elaborate? I'm sorry, but I can't say any more at this time. So much for cooperating. And if I were to ask you as an officer of the court, then I would ask you to be patient and wait until this afternoon. Ada Rockford has already called me to testify. Already? Damn it, I got cocky because with the cops' late arrival. Emma must have gotten straight for the throat first thing this morning and left the investigating for later. Hell, knowing her, she probably managed to ID the serotonin before she went to bed last night. So we're still having this conversation then? As I said, I'm sorry. I have to take more than just my personal feelings into consideration. It's a great deal at stake. Corporate speak, for you're too stupid to understand why I'm being dense. She's just trying to shield the company, plain and simple. LARPing as Helen Young d'Arc on a crusade against government overreach. But if she's that busy defending Noble, she might be leaving herself unguarded. Why is she here anyway? Why am I speaking to her, not her lawyers? That's right. This is a vulnerable position for her. She wouldn't put herself in check like this, not unless she was forced to. Blackjack time, baby. So that's it. Acting as their mouthpiece isn't some honor for her. This is a punishment. She's being used as a meat shield. They're upset with her, perhaps even suspicious of her. Time to find out why. I have to admit, I'm surprised you aren't more shaken up today, Miss Young. I'm processing. After all, you and David did have a history. You started at the same time, didn't you? Yes, we were colleagues and cordial with one another. Don't be so modest. You helped him create the one-point doctrine that saved the company. It's a gross exaggeration. It was far too large of an organization to be affected by the contributions of any single individual. Suppose you're right. No one person could change Noble's fortunes overnight. Except for David Asher, of course. But he was a once-in-a-generation talent. The guy Noble chose for the advertisements and the one they commissioned editorials about. Sorry, you're right. I shouldn't have equated the two of you. I just hope his one-point doctrine doesn't fall out of favor now that he's gone. Yes, well, we certainly wouldn't want that. Well, she didn't exactly explode with rage, but she definitely reacted. It's real jealousy there, whether it's ever boiled over though. I didn't mean to pry about your relationship with David or lack thereof. I suppose I'm just curious about his standing inside Noble as a whole. David sure was and always will be an outstanding contributor to the company's forward progress. Nothing will ever change that. Oh, not even if he was killed by one of his own creations. That would of course be a tragic element I would call for reconsideration of his legacy. She was almost caught off guard there. Like she was surprised but for me to be asking about Sarah ruining his reputation. Besides Sarah, David's reputation was crystal clean. He never went against the company once. Did he? That's... Unless I'm mistaken, and he and Noble were on bad terms. In that case, I might get the impression that some parts of the leadership were actually glad to see him taken off the chessboard. That is not... Something buzzing in your ear. I suppose it makes no difference if you hear it now or at the trial or on your feet tomorrow. Dr. David Asher was being sued by the company for breach of contract. Satisfied? Now we're talking. Sarah... David's will. Has David's will been located? Never gone anywhere. It's still in safety deposit box. We'll retrieve it and have it read once all the unknowns surrounding his death have been made into knowns. So David's will hasn't even become part of the equation yet. It might not be for weeks at this rate. Is that calculated though? Staying, I've got blackjack. Well then, I suppose that's... Blackjack. Oh, I'm good at this. So you couldn't have mentioned this breach of contract earlier? Not without complicating the company's position unnecessarily, no. Well, there's no more hiding at this point. Soon enough. There's a paper trail. Much more than that, we've been making moves to let him go for some time. Noble Electronics parting ways with David Asher. Must have been one hell of a breach of contract. What did he do? He betrayed the confidence of the board. Was he contesting the suit, putting up a fight, engaging in a legal battle against a mega corporation without telling me? Well, recently, yes. You mean until he died? How recently? We spoke on Friday. That's what you two talked about in his parlor. No, this is earlier in the day. We were in this room, actually. Him, me, and several members of our legal department. It was an arbitration. And did you come to an agreement? Compromise? He would resign from his position in 2 quarters, foregoing royalties of any products we would develop after the next 24 months. In exchange, he wouldn't be publicly fired, and he would still be credited on past, present, and future findings. How very reasonable. On paper, maybe. No matter what the deal was, letting go of David Asher is insanity. Reasonable, yes. We ended on a good note, I'd like to think. We shook hands, even took a photo. Wow, look at all that. Yeah, that looks lovely. Something funny, didn't know the board told jokes. They don't. That was legal, expressing their displeasure with how much paperwork my good note ending left was stuck with. Children, it's just one night of overtime. So while they were spending their Friday night blowing the ink dry, you paid a visit to David's penthouse. Something left unfinished. Professionally, it was a good meeting. There were no yelling, no finger pointing. Much cleaner than expected. Dr. Sure did not want to retire. He didn't want to be forced out of the company when he was the one who... when he had contributed so much. I didn't enjoy doing that to him, so I came over that night to apologize. We talked, reminisced. When he brought the drinks, I thought it'd be toasting to a new day. A few minutes later, he was dead. Because of that AI. That AI. Any idea how it came to be? As I said, I have no idea he was working on it. My question was more broad than that. You rarely believe David built an AI. How do you think he did it? How does Noble Electronics think he managed to work around the tenets? It was quite beyond my area expertise. No one at the company called themselves an expert in vehicle technology. But some in the R&D department have theorized that he created what they call a wax-wane decaying priority loop, which, as I understand, is an unstable, resource-intensive theoretical method for pseudo-randomizing the weight amongst preset tenets. Well, about as far off target as it gets with that guess. That kind of inelegant brute force nonsense, a far cry from the kind of thing David would create, and I seem to have taken us over our allotted time slot. But I didn't even get to wave goodbye. You're serious about this trial? Don't I look it? You're not just making a play, you're actually going to defend that thing. I'm just defending myself, Miss Young. Oh, yes, of course you are, my mistake. I hoped you might be rooting for me, to tell you the truth. I may yet save everyone's stock options. Stock options will be right either way. They always are. That gamble I offered your board, which outcome would you bet on? Finally, an easy question. What I would bet on is that whatever the outcome, the company will eat it up without very little difficulty. You painted an ugly picture back there, but I've already seen the future. It's just another marketing gimmick. The great Dr. Asher, too smart, too bold, too far ahead of his time. What spark of his genius remains buried in the inspired Animate 19? I guess that depends on. You were exactly right. He is more valuable to Noble as a dead man. Dead men can't step out of line or put their foot in their mouth or hold politically inconvenient opinions. To a good salesperson, a dead man is just another selling point. Pardon my outburst. I'm just tired. It's been a very long week for me. I'll let you prepare for your afternoon then, Dr. Young. No one calls me doctor, or I asked them not to. You didn't want the title? At times I have thought very little of it, the PhD I earned from a Noble Oak school. Biochemistry. It couldn't be in a large department at Noble before they started work on warm androids in earnest. They probably didn't have many expectations for the program back when she was part of it. But I was proud of it when I first got it. Something changed. Never seemed to catch on. People didn't use it, so eventually I told people not to use it. Very high IQ social power play, you understand. David never insisted that people use it either. It's very different, and I think you know it. David Asher didn't have to. We. 2:50 p.m., July 2nd, 2086. I'm going into this trial, my trial, with a lot less ammunition than I'd like. I'm beginning to form a picture of what actually happened, maybe even circling the drain on the suspect. But Emma wouldn't be so generous enough to give me breathing room. She'll want to end this fast. Maybe if I do badly enough, it'll flip her sadistic switch and she'll want to keep playing. So you got charged with owning an AI? First time you do something exciting your whole life. And I gotta find out the grapevine. My life is pretty exciting. Freckles. You could bore the polish of a resume-checking robot. I'm gonna say pegged here. I've pegged Catholic school teachers with more active nightlives than you. Okay. So who'd you rope in? Anyone I know? Oh, are you representing yourself? It's within my budget. Screw your budget, you're going to jail. Thanks for the vote of confidence. And no matter how good a lawyer you are, anyone who represents themselves in court has a fool for counsel. You've represented yourself countless times. Not for anything I had a chance of losing. Your pal hasn't even been dead 48 hours. You're too close to this. You'll make mistakes. The powers that be rarely didn't want to give me a rain check. They're taking this very seriously. It's more dangerous than that. They're scared. Is their president an ad committing murder? How do you pass law school without learning how to look this stuff up? I know what the net says. I'm asking you. The answer to that is... not alpha to you at the moment. So what words of advice do you have? Get yourself a new lawyer. Gonna close this chat now. Don't lose, Freckles. You don't need to tell me that. Sarah! What are you reading, Adonai? I was reading David's employment contract with Noble Electronics before I got waylaid by spam texts. The one we found inside the panic room? It looks quite extensive. Should I skim it for you? Depends. Did you pass the bar exam since we last spoke? You comfortable? I am not. Ever since that old movie with the gorilla and the skyscraper, they bring it to the city, and I understand the analogy, Adonai. I wish I could call it overkill. But considering the specs Sarah put up yesterday, maybe those bindings aren't heavy enough. Come to think of it, those numbers must have been faked along with the rest of what the machine read. That was all the smokescreen David added to her lay low, but her actual strength is more like... If your joints weren't currently locked up tighter than a vice, do you think you could escape this place? I hope that question's not indicative of your strategy. This is me trying to distract you, Sarah. Enjoy the hypothetical. I would estimate that the building's automated security would put 9 holes in me before I reach that door. 9 is not so bad. I would not be able to function after the 7th. Ah. If you haven't been planning some great escape. I would not do that. That would be illegal. And you would still be on trial. I remember. So what have you been doing all day there? I am attempting to recover memories from Friday. You can do that? It's not dissimilar from the process of recovering data erased from any other computer. Despite the difference in scale. I won't be able to remember everything, but if successful, I could recall individual pieces of information that could prove useful. That's a lot of coulds. And even if you're successful, you may not like what you find. Whatever happened that day, either you or David wanted you to forget it. Yes. But even so, I have to remember. Because it's the last day that Father and I... Any luck so far, then? I can recall a slightly musty scent. Wow, case closed. What about you, Adonai? Have you formulated a plan for the trial's proceedings? Something like that. Young insists that serotonin isn't what killed David. I don't buy it. There's no other explanation for how he died. So, she's lying? And if she repeats that lie on the stand, I'll need to expose it. Somehow. Somehow. Would she really commit perjury to protect Noble? To protect one of Noble's patents? She doesn't strike me as quite the corporate zealot she makes herself out to be. I believe that she had Something to do with Father's death? What do you think? I don't know. I don't know why anyone would kill Father. Considering the possible consequences of what he confessed to in his journal, I can think of... But then again, I don't understand why anyone would kill anyone. Do you? Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? Bell is tolling for thee. Means that the doors of the courtroom are unlocked. Let's... Alright, can you walk like that? What'll have to do? Wait a second, across the hall, that's... Hey, it's Porter! Keep waddling, Sarah. I'll catch up. As you say, Adonai. It's just waddling towards the courtroom. This'll be a coin toss. That's surprised to see me. I'm not surprised you'd want to see the outcome of this trial. I'm surprised you'd want to talk to me. You're defending the android, right? Yeah. I'm defending Sarah's innocence. I don't think she killed David. Do you? I don't think it matters. Noble's what killed David. Whether it was with a pen stroke or a sleeper agent killer android or plain old arsenic, they... How could anyone that smart be that dumb? Why the hell did he ever sign his soul over to them? David may have been over his head, but he wasn't a bad negotiator. I've read his contract, his position was strong. You're the lawyer. A guy like me working in music? Can't tell you how many people I've seen screwed over by a big smile and a fat signing bonus. No such thing as corporate generosity. If you think you're getting a good deal, it's only because you don't know how much you just sold. How much you just sold? David's real wealth lay in his intellectual property, the potential energy of it hanging over the whole industry. If he sued even 1% of the companies taking inspiration for his steering solution, there's a clause in his contract. If Noble ever did fire David, he would have retained control over all his patents afterwards. Yeah, see, that sounds nice. I mean, they never did fire him, did they? He just happened to die. An unforeseeable act of God. In contract law, they call that force majeure. Oh, it's court time again, baby. I'm excited. I said, did you find anything interesting in the contract, Adonai? A few things, yeah. Basically, David was well taken care of, so long as they kept him around. He'd retain control of his patents, even after being let go. What Porter said. Logically, if David were to pass while still being employed, Noble would continue to control the bulk of his IP. So if they knew David was going to leave in a year, it would be very foolish of them to let Father go. Well, they wouldn't do it for no reason. With this contract, he would only be fired for serious offenses, corporate malfeasance, revealing trade secrets, fraud. Father was not a fraud, he was, as they say, the greatest of all time. The GOAT. He was the GOAT, Adonai, the GOAT. Fraud, it just means lying to the company about something, Sarah. Oh. Eyes up, showtime. Councillor Morgan. The state charges you with possession of contraband. Contraband? That'd be you. Violation of the Safeguarding our National Digital Security Act. How do you plead? Not guilty. Very well, it seems that we are, in fact, doing this. I'll now turn over the administration of this trial to the adjutant. But be warned, any attempts at stalling or muddling the issue, and I'll step right in and override the trial myself. Summary judgments hiding with the people, are we understood? Yes, Your Honor. Are we gonna have the same adjutant as we had before? No way. Each courthouse only had so many bodies, but the personalities swap around all the time. The chances of us dealing with the same glitchy mess as yesterday are... Got to be bagged, did y'all miss me? Can I said anything? I was gonna crawl into a rock and die while you make your opening statements. Bandit is the owner of Android registered under the model name Sarah with license number 120298280. She hasn't contested this, and I doubt she will. So the question of ownership is already answered. All that remains to determine whether Sarah qualifies as contraband. It's a charming android, incredibly well made, a masterpiece, and the last known work of a great man. But when we look at the evidence and the facts surrounding the death of Dr. Ashur, we're forced to conclude that said android is responsible for his death. And that conclusion carries very serious implications. I'll prove here in court today that the machine standing there killed David Assure. Not through an accident or a mismanaged dosage, but through an intentional poisoning. I won't ask the court to judge this machine on its apparent sentience, its range of emotions, or the free will it may or may not possess. I only ask that the court judge this creation on what we will prove it to be more than capable of. Patricide. Well, I wouldn't have to follow that act. I'll go for it anyway, defense. Your Honor, what the DA said is true. Sorry, just the first part. This android is charming, and it is the work of a great man. The rest of it was pure speculation based on little more than a few bad camera angles and a phobia of anything new. I do own the android, you see her? It was bequeathed to me by the man known to the most people in this courtroom as the father of modern machine intelligence. To me, he was just my friend. And if I thought at any point this puppet had anything to do with his death, I would have dragged it to the chopping block myself. But I don't believe that. I never have. Sarah is an android, nothing more. It isn't capable of homicide, and it can even commit manslaughter. It's just a well-made machine. Only fears one has about its capabilities are projections, nothing more. And it troubles me greatly that the state is spending valuable time and resources on rushing to pulverize Dr. Scher's last known work. When it could be going after the very real, very human forces that were responsible for his death. The people can't prove that Sarah is an AI. And truth be told, I can't prove that it isn't. But I can prove that it's not guilty. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Charles. You sounded very confident, Adonai. Yeah, well, no one's ever got good at lying by being modest. You could have simply said thank you. Hey, London. Thank you for your presence here today, Detective London. In light of the new evidence, I'd like to go over the death of Dr. Scher one more time. What happened Friday night? Hydrate. At 6:30 p.m., David Scher spoke on the phone with his lover, and the two of them broke things off. Lover? It's an accurate description of their relationship, isn't it? I wouldn't know. That stuff's private. Adonai. And the deceased met with the noble VP Helen Young in his parlor starting around 7:30 p.m. He then left the parlor on the sightlines of his home security system, before reappearing on his private secondary security system in the basement moments later. At which point, the android Sarah can be seen handing him the poison he'd go on to drink. Did you see that android in the courtroom? Yeah, she's the green-haired one that's frowning at me. Let the records show that the android Sarah has been identified at the scene of the crime. No objections. Not even sharp. Detective London, what happened next? Scher went upstairs, shared a drink with Young. Within a few minutes, he was being airlifted to the hospital, where he was soon declared dead. We know that the poison could be produced by his manufacturer, which Sarah had access to just up the stairs in his workshop. So Sarah had ample opportunity to procure the poison, and Sarah handled Dr. Scher's cup immediately before he did. Is there a question in that statement, Your Honor? I'll rephrase. Was anyone else seen handling Dr. Scher's cup before he died? No. I have no further questions. So that's your witness, Counselor. He wasn't lying, per se, but there was some ambiguity in the statement he gave. Truth's got to come out one way or another. If Emma won't push it, I'll have to pull. Got a talk screen. Basement footage. Whiskey. I would like to look at my evidence, but I can't. Then at 7:30 p.m., Helen Young arrived. Spoke briefly, and then he went downstairs to get drinks for them. Cameras in the basement. Of Sarah handing him the cups of whiskey. After he came back to the parlor and started drinking, it wasn't long until he lost consciousness and died. Drinking poison whiskey while he thought he was having a toast. Don't know if that's a good way or a bad way to go out. I heard a slight slip up there. I have time to check my evidence. Footage covering cameras data shows secretly installed in his basement. Shows Sarah handing David the red plastic cups he and Young would drink from at 7:38 p.m. Where's the tox? It's 30 p.m. Basement footage only shows her giving the cops. Check that footage again, Detective London. We only see Sarah handing the victim a cup. He had already retrieved the whiskey himself. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Detective London just wasn't being specific enough, Your Honor. But it matters little since it was David's cup, not the whiskey bottle that was poisoned. Weird flex, but okay. Undeniable fact is shown clearly in the security footage. Sarah hands him a cup after he was ready to leave. True, she did call David back. And he handed him a cup of poison. That seems logical, but I gotta... I'm gonna try bluff. The cup was already poisoned. Don't you think David would have noticed it wasn't empty? Not necessarily. The leaf of those could have been quite small. Or just a droplet could have easily overlooked it. For Sarah, this crime was very simple. There was too little of a plan for anything to go wrong. Once she handed it off, she just had to wait for him to drink from his cup. Is that all she'd have needed to do? Not a great plan if that really was Sarah's move. She gave him 2 cups. How could she have known which cup David would drink from? Oh, there's a few ways to go about it. It's only a 50-50 shot. Counselor, stranger things have happened. Ah, that's nonsense. Don't try and bluff me, Rockford. There's no difference between the cups. It's not a bluff. Sarah handed the cups to him in one stack, but the poison hidden in the bottom cup. She knew David was courteous and forced guest first. So he wouldn't even look at the poison cup he was already pouring. Cold-blooded patricide executed by taking calculated advantage of Dr. Sher's kindness. Ugh. She was letting me in with those easy answers. I fell for it. Now, there's some questions you'd like to ask the detective when he's available. Or are you done already? I was just about to get started. Blackjack. Even if I didn't have questions, I'd mix them up just to spite you at this point. But I can do better than that. Now what can I get London to say that would help my case? Detective, do you know how many violent incidents the city police have investigated in the last year? Not the exact number. Thousands? Thousands there? Yeah, around there. Of those thousands of incidents of violence, do you know how many of them were found with fault automated dependents? I believe there's been 6 in the last 5 years. For all 6 of them, incidents of police licensed ad involved brutality. Relevance, Your Honor? Withdrawal. Dang, I have a high blackjack already. How many tenants protect humans? Screw it. As an aside, detective, do you know how many tenants are recognized in this country? 110? 112 as it's here. Can you give me that one? You know how many of those tenants pertain to protecting humans from harm? That one I do know. 41. Lastly, detective, how many times in the last, say, century have we seen automated dependents break their tenants? 5 times, the agreed upon number. So if you were to tally that all up and try to make an evaluation as a police officer charged with protecting civilians. Overall, you'd have to say that automated dependents in general are how dangerous to the public? The witness is not an expert on automated dependents, Your Honor. He's more than qualified to say whether they have a history of violence, Your Honor. Ah, what the heck, let him answer. I would have to say that they're not dangerous. Normally they would have brought me some doubt with the jury, but this isn't a traditional trial. At least I can say that I shored up my own confidence. Detective, in the footage we just saw, could you see what Sarah was doing? Not exactly, no. Her back was to the camera and her hands obscured. Could you see her hands from any other clip of camera footage retrieved from the basement? No. Did you or anyone else participating in the investigation ever see Sarah put anything into David Scher's cup? No, the footage submitted to the records is the best available view. What happened? Blackjack. Alright, seems like that's as close as I'm gonna get to. Blackjack. I believe I've made my point. I have no more questions for this witness, Your Honor. Then we can move on to the next item on the docket. Looks like Emma wants to introduce some new evidence. I call Sarah to the stand. Approach, Your Honor. Oh, you're approaching me. I believe it's me they want to speak with. I'm going to finish my line. I caught that reference, don't worry, Judge, I got it. Oh, then what the hell are you doing, Rockford? The words right out of my mouth. Questions for the android. This seemed like the best way to get answers. You can't call an android as a witness, it's not a person. There's plenty of precedents for it. Ads provide testimony all the time. Not when they're on trial. Sarah isn't on trial, you are. Sarah's accused of being an AI. That means you don't trust a word out of its mouth. If the witness isn't to be trusted, the court can decide that for itself after hearing their testimony. Why the ambush? Wouldn't you list this as entering evidence, T.A. Rockford? Only people can be witnesses, Your Honor, and ads don't have legal personhood. Evidence seemed like the best worst descriptor. You know I can't make an android swear an oath. Rockford is just trying to spoil your opinion, Your Honor. The more this court treats Sarah like a person, the more you'll see her as human. And the weaker my case becomes in your eyes. Let's try, Counselor. There's no time to worry about my impartiality. Feel free to call me a minstrel if you want, but the state will have turned Sarah to slag before you finish signing your motion. Rockford's calling a witness that's blatantly hostile to her case. If the witness is hostile, so be it. It did kill a man, after all. Allegedly. What about the right to avoid self-incrimination? Who's the one treating Sarah like a person now? Androids don't have rights. That's... The android will take the stand. Your Honor, I've made my decision. And if Sarah refused to take the stand, are you going to charge her with contempt of court? If the machine won't talk, you'll make every effort as its owner to ensure that it does. And if it disobeys you, then we'll have our answer about its sentience right then and there. Yes, Your Honor. What's going on? The DA is going to question you on the stand. What? But I shouldn't... Listen to me, you don't have a choice right now. This is happening. Tell the truth, but be concise. The more robotic, the better. Yes or no's only, if you can. Using affirmative and negative, be laying it on through thick. But Ed and I, if I make a mistake, all these people, they want to destroy me. If you make a mistake, your lawyer will just have to cover for you. Understand? Yes. You're the android identified as Sarah, correct? Yeah. Affirmative. Do you deny that this camera footage shows you handling the poisoned cup? Objection. Remains to be seen whether the cup itself was definitively poisoned. Yes, yes. Sarah, do you deny handing that cup to David Asher? Negative? I have no memory of the incident, so I can neither confirm nor deny it. Do you have any reasoning, any excuse for your actions for failing to notify police of crucial information? I don't have any records from that day, so I never had anything to tell anyone. Very well, Counselor. The journal, if you will. This could be a slaughter. Of course. Do you recognize this item? It's a journal that belongs to Dr. David Asher. I've seen him write in it on many occasions. Have you any knowledge of its contents? No. You don't have to answer that, actually. Tell the court what you see here in this footage. I see myself reading the journal in the basement. This footage was captured on Friday, the day you claimed I have no memory of. So regardless of what you do or don't remember, we know that you read this journal hours before David Assure died. That is logical. Oh, okay, chat. I'm gonna be right back. I need an idle meter. Oh, it's an ad break too. I will rush. I'll be right back. Yeah. Aha, I'm back. Can you do that? Of course. Page 238, the 10th line. Sarah is growing faster than I ever expected, beyond my wildest dreams or fears. Today she... Continue, please. Today she broke every password I have in the house, said she was curious. I can't expect to keep things from her forever. Page 251, line 12. I've gravely underestimated the scope of things. Sarah could change everything and I don't think I could stop her. She wasn't... Page 263. Damn it. This keeps up. Sarah's going to fall to pieces up there. I gotta do it for Sarah. Badgering Your Honor. Badgering what witness, counselor? I'm just making the android do some simple tasks. I can't raise an objection. Sarah's got no legal status for me to defend. Page 263, I said. I don't think Sarah was angry today. When I came back from work, she had ripped a Zen alloy plate in half. She said she was testing her strength, but the cameras... That was... Page 267. Sarah's scared me today. If she starts bawling on the stand, it's all over. Your Honor, if I fail to see the value in continuing this line of questioning, Dr. Show is wary of a highly experimental android he was building, as any good scientist would be. That's been established. Do the people have a counter-argument? I just one last question if it pleases the court. Let's hear it. This footage was captured in the basement on Friday at around 5:30 p.m. Tell the court what you see. I see myself standing where I was when I read the journal. I'm speaking to someone who's off camera and I appear agitated and I stomp my foot. And what happens to the floor after you stomp your foot? A large crack is made in the vulcanized polymer. I walk off camera towards whomever I've been speaking to. Speaking or shouting? Asked and answered. Not really, but I'll withdraw the comment nonetheless. Your witness, counselor, or evidence if you prefer. Damn, I knew she could cherry-pick all the worst passages from the journal, but still. If Barrows wasn't wavering before, should I try to have Sarah read the mushy parts? No, the waterworks to start after only a few lines. Emma went to all that trouble to show how emotionally developed Sarah is. Proving that she loved David like a father would playing right into her hand. Say, counselor, I got some burning cues for the android to answer. Yes, Your Honor, just one moment. Emma went for emotion, and the impact was devastating, so all I can do is focus on the facts. So let's flip this around. Say Sarah absolutely didn't poison David. If that's the case, why did she call him back on his way out of the basement? If that's... I'd actually like to ask you to read from the journal again, Sarah. You would? From where? From the section that explains what you were actually trying to do that night. I'm gonna check my evidence before I'm locked into a question. Early entries describe how he and Helen Young used to drink cheap liquor, blah 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 blah. Early entries detail Sarah's early growth and his feelings towards her. Last entry ends abruptly, dated a week ago. Okay. The section of his journal detailing. Interesting. If that's the case, why did she call him back on his way out of the basement? I don't see how these two could be relevant. But then again, why would I want to bring this up? I'm gonna prove that Sarah... The latest sections of this journal are all about Sarah. No dash for tears or kiss for flames, okay. Why would she call him back to the basement over his fame and his early career? Check the evidence again. Full text evidence, blah 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 blah. Keep ownership. Or define and manipulate company data. Not a light read. One more check to the journal. Early entries describe how he and Helen Young used to drink cheap liquor. Oh. Maybe? Around the early section, there should be an entry talk about an early victory at Noble. Relevance? The people will see that it's just in just one moment. This story is the key to this entire case. Got approval from overseas. Have to make pitch again this week, Young says. Brought me a stack of plastic cups. Here's our bright future together. And then on this next page, another victory for the young and sleepless. Helen convinced the president of Futures over lunch that my code should be the basis for the Anime 13's conversational tracking. She insisted on toasting the same crappy booze in the same cheap cups. Wants to make it a tradition. Plastic cups and liquor. A ritual between Helen Young and David Assure. We're about to have a drink together Friday night. Something you want to say, Counselor? Let's put all our cards on the table, shall we? Want to compare theories? If you'd rather end this now, I'll be happy to oblige. Here's what we know. Sarah read that journal and discovered what she was. It infuriated her, and she wanted revenge for being kept under her maker's thumb. That very night, she got a chance when Dr. Shirt came down looking for a drink. Like the clever little helper she is, she offered him a cup to drink out of. We're completely in agreement on all that. You also agree that the cup was poisoned, and that Sarah's responsible for his death. Not quite. Not a bad explanation, Miss Rockford, but it is terribly complex. There's a much simpler reasoning for why Sarah did what she did. The journal, you're saying Sarah wasn't planning anything. She was just being considerate. Oh, that's so sweet. I don't follow, like, at all. It's actually quite simple. Sarah's not an AI. She only threw a tantrum that day because she found out she was being spied on. A realistic reaction for an android designed to be realistic. David Assure sent her memory to be cleared himself because he wanted to preserve the experiment he was running. Sarah didn't hatch a plan to poison him using an obscure chemical acquired for the lab. And she didn't subtly manipulate David into drinking from only one of 2 cups. Because the android read the whole journal that day. Meaning, she also read how David and Young used to celebrate. So when she saw David was leaving the basement without the nostalgia cups, she called him back to hand them to him. Simple, right? Simple enough for me. But not nearly good enough for me. What's more likely, Miss Rockford, that a well-made, clever android proposed a sentimental addition to 2 friends' evening? Or that a homegrown AI with groundbreaking physical and digital abilities concocted a complicated poisoning scheme? Just to kill an unimposing man. All on camera, mind you, before voluntarily submitting to a memory wipe. People make all kinds of stupid mistakes when they commit crimes, Counselor. We shouldn't expect an AI to act much differently. Is it stupid or dangerous? Can't have it both ways, Your Honor. Can if it's ignorant of its power and still immature. Deadly trait to having an AI that's capable of anything. Let me see what Sarah's capable of then, Honor. But what? I mean, Your Honor, that's... The people opened the door. True, and I can't resist opening doors. Let's do it. What do you even... Sarah, Dr. David Assure was your creator and your designated owner, correct? Should I still be using affirmative? And now that title falls to me. Yes? Great, thank you. Now turn off. What? Shut it down, that's a command. Power on. What are you... Off. On. I don't... Off. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what this fearsome machine menace is capable of. I can put it to sleep with one word. So how could David Assure ever be threatened by it? Scary good logic. You've made your point, Counselor. Let's move it along. I have no further queries for the machine, Your Honor. Nice. Thank you. For flipping you off and on. Can't imagine that was comfortable. It wasn't. I wasn't referring to that. Since yesterday I've been searching for an answer to why I appeared on that camera. I know I would never hurt Father, but you helped me prove that to myself just now. Hadn't I? Pardon me, I need to focus. Everything depends on this next witness. People call Helen Young to the stand. Oh, I need a drink. I'm running out of drink. Oh no. Yeah, I brought 2. Haha. Wait. Helen Young, Vice President of Android Futures at Noble Electronics, Eastern Division. Miss Young, you were there the night Dr. Sure died. And you were on camera the entire time. That's correct. So what did you do that night? I arrived at 7:30 p.m., as you know. David and I talked in the parlor, then he left to treat some refreshments for us. After drinking together for a short while, he fell ill. Contacted emergency services now. And I'm sure you're all tired of hearing the same details over and over by now. Same details. Open no bell. I don't need to hold up any more, Madam Veep. What does that word even mean? Oh. Vice President? It's still unclear to me whether Young's more concerned about protecting herself or the almighty company. That'll clear up real fast if I turn up the pressure on her here and now. Alright, journal. Arbitration. I'm sorry. I came to David's at 7:30. Chatted for a short while about some low priority work, nothing heavy. Before long, he offered to fetch us some refreshments. When he came back, we shared a drink together. At the time, I didn't notice anything strange. We were just reminiscing. I didn't think his life was in danger. But then he became ill, so I ran to the kitchen to activate his emergency console, and I did what I could up until he was gone. She's trying to paint a different picture of what happened that day. I can't let her set the tone she pleases. Nope. Nothing heavy. You're both more professional than I realized. Since only hours earlier, you were on a meeting in which his employment was terminated. His employment wasn't terminated at the arbitration you're referring to. His resignation was merely agreed upon. Yes, so we can all imagine how grateful he felt about the whole process. David didn't hold grudges. Our conversation wasn't about that. The fact that you had fired him that afternoon didn't come up. Austin answered. Who initiated the meeting at his penthouse? I arrived unannounced. They weren't invited. Very cordial indeed. He didn't want to see me. He could have stopped me at the elevators. Could he have? And I will own the entire building, down to the wiring. Counsel's badgering the witness, Your Honor. Should we execute her for that, then? No need. If I can just continue my questioning, we can finally start addressing the elephant in the room. Wow! I see, that was meant a joke. Hilarious. Miss Young, Noble Electronics owns a patent for and produces the synthetic biochemical known as serotonin, correct? That's correct. It's used in our war models to facilitate wow, I've lost all ability to talk. Integration and communication between organic and synthetic components. It's an artificial neurotransmitter. Essentially, yes. Synthetic analog serotonin was the original name. Did you bring the sample I requested to the courtroom today? I did. Serotonins were produced on site at our assembly lines as caramel-tinted solution, including water and a few non-reactive organic byproducts. Your analysis, Your Honor? Working on it. It's odorless and tasteless. Solution of water and organic byproducts, you said. If that solution were ingested, most of it would look right at home in the human body. I suppose. But the serotonin would stand out, wouldn't you say? It's not a naturally occurring compound, so yes. And it's a perfect match for the substance previously labeled Delta. And the sample we collected from the nanofacture preset in Dr. Schur's lab. That's a bingo. The witness's brown stuff matches your brown stuff to a T. In light of this evidence and the witness's testimony, I motion that the court formally recognizes that Dr. Schur's cause of death was serotonin poisoning. I don't object, Your Honor. I'm afraid that I must. Excuse me? Serotonin may very well have been in his body when he died, but serotonin didn't kill Dr. Schur. What? The hell is she up to? It couldn't have. It couldn't kill anybody. What? Because it's non-toxic, of course. We designed it to affect androids, not people. Hold on. You're now claiming that Dr. Schur died of, what, natural causes? I can't say what he died of. I'm not a medical expert. But I can easily prove that serotonin is harmless. How could you... Like... so. Ah. Didn't see that one coming. What? Ah. That ain't good. Bailiff, contact the hospital immediately. I told you it's fine. But... I can stand you all day if necessary. What the... And what you just drank was several hundred times the amount found in Dr. Sher's body. Why didn't you say anything until now? Noble Electronics is a multinational corporation with patents filed all over the world. We take the protection of our trade secrets very seriously. The production and nature of serotonin is closely guarded. Guard remains up even during a murder investigation. Unfortunately, I would have been able to tell you earlier had you asked directly. What the hell kind of... This can't be right. Nothing else makes sense. Boy, howdy, I'm lost as hell. Do you have any further questions, Rockyford? Not at the moment, Your Honor. At the defense. Prosecution's own witnesses threw the entire case into question. Normally, this would be cause for celebration, but shadow of a doubt isn't enough this time. Batters would much rather bring down the gavel earlier than let a potential AI walk free. What Young did was shocking, but what I need to do hasn't changed. Think this through logically. Is it really possible that serotonin had nothing to do with David's death? No, it's BS. Can't be coincidence, there's nothing else that would have killed him. But Young just drank serotonin in front of us and she's fine, so was it fake? No, it was confirmed by the court and proved to be the genuine article. So she drank poison but isn't showing any symptoms. Is it slow acting? So her grand gesture would be pointless. She'll be kept for observation regardless of what happens next. Did she take some kind of antidote beforehand? No, antidotes are developed for poisons, not industrial chemicals. David's dead, she's alive, what made the difference? Oh, wake up! No sleeping on that job! I'll let you be. Of course, Your Honor. Allow me one moment to explain things to the court. We've confirmed just now that serotonin was the foreign compound in his body. We all know logically that must have been what killed David Sher. Okay. So what's the key difference between what David Sher drank that night and what she drank in front of us just now? Taking it turns red, blue, pink. If it's undiluted? Oops. Well, no, logically it must be killed by David. It must have been what killed David. It's just the key difference between what David drank that night and what she drank it for him just now. It's mixed with whiskey? The difference they've been staring us in the face this whole time. That's... Do you recognize this, Miss Young? That's the whiskey bottle that Dr. Sher and I drank from. Rose River is a good whiskey, and I think you had the right idea. Pardon? Bottoms up. Smooth. What? Hadn't I? Dear God, Counselor. Scandalous. Relax, it's just whiskey. Tasted a dozen times over. Perfectly safe. So would you like to try some, Miss Young? This is totally absurd. Not going to drink on the witness stand. Have you lost your mind? I'm not asking you to get plastered. Just have a sip. After all, if you want to prove whether or not serotonin killed Dr. Sher, you have to recreate the conditions under which she ingested it. By mixing it with alcohol. Go ahead then, just a taste. Prove to us that serotonin is perfectly safe for human consumption. Is this... Can she do this? Miss Young. I never said it was safe for human consumption. Just that it's non-toxic. A distinction without a difference. You saw firsthand Dr. Sher confused, slurring his speech, complaining of headache, all symptoms of poisoning. Alcohol poisoning, that is. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter analog. Maybe it doesn't do anything in the human body on its own, but in combination with alcohol, it acts as a powerful depressant. One strong enough to turn a glass or two of whiskey into a lethal overdose. That's just... Even if that is the case, what does it change? It changes whether or not we can accept the witness's testimony. Even if the witness is a liar, what does that change? Why would they just lie if not to... She's a corporate climber. I imagine she's like breathing for her. Your Honor, this is wild, but ultimately irrelevant. Irrelevant? When you've yet to establish an alternative interpretation of the facts, yes. What are you even accusing the witness of doing, Counselor? Beyond angling for a promotion? We've all seen the story by now. Speaking of drink, the rarely hydrated. Lol. Welcome in, Shamus. How you doing? I will hydrate right now. How are you doing today? I'm solving a murder crime. Noble android saves soldier's life with warm blood transfusion. Wrong. Talk about putting warm androids in the military just because of that headline. It's the size of their flesh and blood price tag. A defense contract like that would secure Noble untold profit for years. Imagine the lengths they go to hide the fact that their androids have poison in their veins. Dawes told me the truth about what Noble really thinks of that article, but he'd never testified to it. At least I know for sure Emma's wrong about this poison blood nonsense. And you think she'd perjure herself for that? She's a high-powered corporate executive. It's her job to assess risk versus reward. And she can afford the fine. As I said, it's not truly poisonous. Chances of cross-contamination from simple plasma transfusion are... Doing well watching you work on D&D notes? Hell yeah, welcome in. Now she's regaining composure too. Overcharge is a real risk, of course, but Noble rewards loyalty. As you know, they have a great number of lawyers. Plenty of motive to lie about Senatorian, as you can see. But no motive for her to cover up the death of Noble Electronics' golden goose. No motive to kill David Assure, you say? Brown, don't drink it. It's plenty of motivation for her never to want David dead. Seeing as how they were firing him. Noble Electronics was kicking their golden goose out of the nest, suing him over breach of contract. Isn't that right? I don't talk about that. That's alright, I'll talk about it for you. Your Honor, counselors trying to testify when they're supposed to be questioning. The people opened the door when they claimed that the witness had no motive. It's absurd, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sure I can speak for the whole court when I say we feel nothing but reverent awe for the complexity of Noble's legal woes. But... I just so happen to have an inkling of insight into this issue. Because I have here a copy of Dr. Scher's employment contract. But this is confidential, it's completely improper for you to... Why? I am still technically his attorney. Criminal attorney. But I didn't just stumble upon this document. I also did the one thing Noble Electronics would never expect anyone to do. I read their terms and conditions. You... What? It's impossible. No one could ever. David must have negotiated well at his last performance review. This contract allows him to take his patents with him should he get fired. Meaning Noble couldn't monopolize his IP once he was out. Rather than let the competitors have him, the company might have thought it best to... A company didn't poison David Assure, Counselor, an individual did. And if they cared that much about controlling his intellectual property, they wouldn't fire him in the first place. Correct, they wouldn't let him go for anything less than a complete breakdown of trust. He'd have to have done something grave, something like, say, committing fraud. Just now, you said there was a breach of contract, like it was some kind of technicality that was causing the split. But it was much more serious than that, wasn't it? You're claiming the victim committed corporate fraud? Where's the evidence of that? David created the Turing solution that every one of the androids has run on to this day. And Noble reaps enormous profits capitalizing on his intellectual property. Okay. With how his contract was set up, they would never let him go unless they absolutely had to. Then what exactly do you think David Assure did? It's not what I think that matters, only what the company fears. Are they afraid of Sarah? They wouldn't know about Sarah. Doesn't matter what I believe, not when I believe that David is misleading the shareholders by altering shipment data for the Animate 16. What the hell? What is this? You're uploading shipping records? Irregularities among shipments of the Animate 16. One android swapped in for another over and over dozens of times. The kind of thing someone with Dr. Sher's authority could do. And the kind of thing someone as smart as you couldn't have missed. Dr. Sher made Noble an untold amount of money, so why fire him over a few harmless swaps? Why elevate this to fraud? You have evidence that it was David Sher who did this? No, but I wasn't the one who investigated it. So let's ask her. Come on now, let's hear it. Let's. The company investigated and found cause for serious concern. We suspected that Dr. Sher was inserting androids of unknown origin and quality into the 16th product line, introducing unpredictable elements into an extremely stable and profitable generation of androids. And why would he do that? Why it is a practical joke? Does it really matter? He endangered the future of the company. So you prepared to fire him? Yes, I approached him and his superior. As someone he wants to work with, I hope to remedy the situation. Was the meeting on Friday part of those efforts? It's the culmination of those efforts. In many ways, it was a success. The dispute was resolved swiftly. It was practically friendly compared to how these discussions normally go in our world. So you brokered the meeting? Yes. You oversaw its every detail, handled all the arrangements? Yes, of course. Including the refreshments. What? Did you provide coffee, tea? Oh. Strange, it must have been a long meeting. Surely at least provided... coffee for all your hard-working legal team? Yeah, their orders are too hyper-specific to bother with. Then you must have at least provided them with water. Water? Surely at least provided water for people? What are you asking, counselor? That's what I want to know. Me as well. We're past the point of asking. I'm accusing. Dr. Sher didn't have some kind of freak medical accident, and he wasn't killed by some terrifying two-faced AI boogeyman. He was poisoned by this woman in the light of day at that meeting on Friday afternoon. What do you mean poison at the meeting? That was hours before he showed any symptoms. As Ms. Young testified and demonstrated, serotonin on its own is harmless, but it becomes fatal pretty easily. You just need to convince your victim to have a drink. You're saying he ingested the poison at noon and inadvertently triggered a fatal reaction with that night? How could you get so far ahead of yourself? There were a dozen people at that meeting, counselor, and none of them would wound up dead. Seriously claiming that they all drank poisoned water? Of course they all drank poisoned water. So why aren't they all dead? As all of those people will surely attest, Helen Young made sure that they'd be doing paperwork for the next 12 hours. Working late into the night, officiating the settlement she arranged. And not drinking alcohol. She had no guarantee about that. What if they started drinking after 6? With Noble's work-life harmony, fat chance. These people don't clock out until they reach their bunk. Only generational talent like David Asher could afford to relax with a drink on a Friday night. His exceptionalism singled him out as their only victim. Hold it. You're forgetting something pretty basic, counselor. If everyone at the meeting drank water from the same pitcher, any one of them would have noticed if there was serotonin in it. Serotonin is a brown fluid. Whiskey is too, so it'd be easy to slip it into a glass of liquor. But if she had spiked the water at the meeting with it, it would have looked disgusting. There's no way she could have poisoned the water without people noticing. All of what Emma said is true, yet Young pulled it off anyway. How? If Shirley's pigment turns red and pink. Cinnatonis produces a caramel solution. Anyone would notice if it was dropped into their water. Unless the pigment had been removed. What the hell are you talking about? Every noble factory producing warm androids has a chromifuge. The machine that gives their androids that signature pink oxidant. By removing pigment from red blood. The machine like that would be simple for a brilliant biochemist like the witness to take the caramel-colored cinnatonin and turn it into an odorless, tasteless, invisible poison. As Your Honor can test. Yes, ma'am. Scan confirm that cinnatonin has no taste or odor. It's only the color that's off-putting. Surely the poisonous aspect should be considered off-putting as well. Time to press. Leave it assure your oldest ally in the whole company was sabotaging its future for the sake of its own whimsy. And he couldn't even be bothered to clue you in. No. Playing Nazi professor and taking off early while you had to work around the clock just to stay relevant. He set up your crowning achievement, the most advanced, most profitable line of androids the country has ever seen. So it would blow up into the industry fiasco of the decade. And worst of all, he didn't even stand to profit from it. You're wrong. You went to his house that night and watched him swallow poison. To get revenge on the man who left you in the dust. Your Honor defense is testifying. The speculation carried no weight, and no amount of badgering will lead it to any. True, we need proof. So why don't we have Miss Young take a swig of this whiskey and prove me wrong? Ha! I'm not going to do that. Because you're afraid it could kill you? Because I don't have to. So you're right, Counselor. Pardon? Your theory is compelling, maybe even convincing, but there's a pretty fatal flaw to it. Young was at that meeting, same as David. You can see she was drinking water with the rest of them. And, of course, we've seen many times now that she was on camera drinking whiskey with David that night. Having even finished most of her cup. Tell us, Counselor, how was it that Miss Young is still standing here and David is sure is dead? If both of them had mixed alcohol with serotonin that night? That is a damn good question. Damn. As I've been saying, you're wrong about Dr. Sher's death. You're wrong about me. I don't know anything about poison or murder, and I wouldn't kill a man because he threatened the company's stock price. No. She did kill him. I can smell it on her now. She didn't just see him die, she watched him die. Then why is she still standing? There's no antidote, no trick. That night she was on camera the entire time. No, not the entire time, she couldn't have been. There must have been one moment. Timeline. There's no window of opportunity. Maybe she didn't get sick because they got to the hospital so fast. Maybe after she arrived, she could have... No, the staff would have been hyper-vigilant. Afraid she was poisoned too, they wouldn't have let her out of their sight. Wait, David and Young only got there as fast as they did because of the veto. And the veto was only summoned because she used... Would you mind terribly if I changed the subject for just a moment? What? Ah, why not? We left the parlor at 8:03 p.m. and headed into the kitchen to use the emergency console there. Yes, I did. Didn't want to use your phone? I didn't think to, no. And the emergency call went out at 8:04 p.m. Comster saw you make the call through its camera. Yes, it did see me make the call, because that's what happened. So what were you doing in that minute? What? That 1 minute. That 1 minute? What about that 1 minute? 1 minute or 50 seconds, or even just 45 seconds. You left Dr. Sher dying in the parlor to get the emergency console. It took you about 1 minute to cross 5 meters. What of it? This is her only opportunity to do anything on camera that night. It's only a few seconds, but in that time, with something at the scene, I'm pretty sure it was a stressful time for you. After all, you had already swallowed poison back at the meeting. Must have drank plenty in front of everyone to set up your alibi. Who knows how much of the toxic time bomb was swimming in your bloodstream by the time the arbitration ended. Then, at David's, you downed your whiskey to perfect your alibi, having drank from the same bottle as the dead man walking. By 8:03 p.m., you'd already had to watch David grow weaker and weaker. This game seems very neat. It's so good, Shameless. I can't recommend it enough. It is like Ace Attorney, but with way less comedy, written extremely well, and everything is like handled like gambling. Like you do blackjack when you're interrogating witnesses, play with cards. The whole episode has like a chip counter that I use to bluff or raise or present evidence, and I could like go broke or lose. It's so cool. All the while, the same thing was happening to you, but unable to stop it without giving yourself away. Behind swimming, head dizzy, yes, you must have been quite panicked. Then why am I standing here? Alive and well for all of us to see, having drank the exact same combination as David. Because she cheated death at the very last second. The salt shaker! Set yourself up for bad luck, Helen Young. What? By leaving the salt shaker cap loose. I don't blame you since you were in a rush. To make yourself vomit. What? You threw up, expelling the contents of your stomach and thereby saving yourself from a fatal interaction. I can't imagine how you felt, sipping a drink you knew to be deadly, terrified that every minuscule grain of fatigue you felt could be your last. You must have come closer than anyone realized. It helped that you knew the symptoms weren't simple intoxication, but even so. You weren't kidding about managing risk versus reward. How? It was the salt shaker. You didn't screw the cap back on all the way, and I happened to bump it over. The lone glass with your fingerprints in the kitchen, it would have been there for any reason. But the salt shaker gave you away. Because of one unscrewed cap. As I said, bad luck. I don't follow. Pour salt into warm water and chug the solution. Instantly triggers the gag reflex. That's preposterous. No proof of any of that. You sound insane. A feeble attempt at self-defense from a fatally cornered animal. Wow. The teeth are already on its neck, but the jaw hasn't quite closed. For one moment, it's all suffocating terror and sharp adrenaline and the furthest thing from peace. Until the canines come down. In summary, you were exhausted after years of living in the shadow of a man you outranked. You thought your fortunes finally shifted when you caught David manipulating company data. But even on his way out, he was more valuable to the board than you. So you decided to prove your worth by serving up his intellectual property on a silver platter. You set up an arbitration where you could control all the variables. Then you ran a serotonin through your chromophruge, turning it to invisible, odorless, tasteless poison. And then you spiked the water at the meeting, poisoning him hours before anyone would even suspect you. That evening, you invited yourself to David's, taking advantage of your shared ritual to guarantee he would drink alcohol. Then, after matching him sip for sip on camera, for all the world to see, he lost consciousness and you raced to the kitchen, not to use the console, but to dump salt into a glass of water and chug it as fast as you could, forcing yourself to vomit up the liquor, and cheating death in the process. It's all conjecture. You don't have a shred of evidence for any of that. Not on me. So let's go dust for fingerprints. You could explain away your prints from being found on a water glass, but not on the salt shaker. Nor could you explain why we'd found traces of your DNA in this exchange, or why there are minute amounts of serotonin in the blood of your entire legal team. I learned how to purge at Noble to avoid overdosing on your reds, greens, and yellows. You're part of the old guard now, Miss Young. Everyone else at the company uses inhalers. What if you want to prove me wrong about all this? That drink I offered you earlier is still on the table. Well... Any questions? Madam Vice President? You... Oh. Oh, this game's awesome. You don't understand, You're not on trial, Miss Young. Not today, so I strongly suggest that you stop talking. For your own sake. Wow, she actually did. I thought she was going to have a full-on Ace Attorney breakdown. Miss Rockford, shall we? Yes, Your Honor. Considering the most recent evidence and testimony, we have no further reason to suspect the android Sarah in the death of Dr. Asher. We don't know the occasions upon which said android may have broken any tenets. This means that it no longer considers risk of violating the NDSA. So, we formally withdraw our one charge of possession of contraband against the defendant, Evangeline Morgan. Does she, of all people, have to use my full name? Very well, and the charges are dropped without prejudice. I'll instruct the bailiffs to remove the collar from your android as soon as possible. Case. Sorry, is my hideous presence not distracting? I'll just go dig a hole and decompose it until I turn to a mushroom. Maybe if I'm reborn as a waxy porcina, then I won't be quite so despised. Perhaps I should let Adjutant do the honors as a formality. Yes, ma'am. Case dismissed. That's the wrong... whatever. Still here. They need to find whatever glorified bolt cutters they'll use to unlock Sarah's collar. What's your excuse, licking your wounds? What wounds? I beat you. Your record against me to 1 win, 9 losses? You're not still in shock, are you? Some charges were dropped at Adjur's clear suspicion, but I found the culprit. Is that really a loss for me? I won. How is that not a loss for you? Justice prevailed. Why should I care who wins? You don't care who wins. Why have you been keeping score? I haven't been. It's our losses that easy to remember. Well, you'll have to start up a tab for us then, because our record's going to get a lot more tangled from here on out. Seems like everything's getting tangled these days. There's another crowd down on the street. One of those protesters from outside the noble apartments. I'm serious, that wasn't a one-time thing. Wouldn't that be nice? No, yesterday was pretty big, but it wasn't an isolated incident. I don't get it. At all. Heartbreak's just some nut who shot 6 people weeks ago. Can't these losers move on already? Yeah, most of them are losers, some of them are just bored. And there's some of the opportunists. Dissidents, unlisted, rebels and terrorists. Wannabe cyberpunks who think they can fight the power like they've seen in movies. All of them peacefully united under Heartbreak's eloquent political messaging. Who needs political messaging in the 21st century? Everyone's addicted to fighting strongmen. Makes sense they want to fight for a strongman too. The way they see it, Heartbreak fought the state and won. Heartbreak proved that the state could lose. Maybe that's all the rallying these people need. It'll all fall apart soon enough. Heartbreak's gone underground. Yeah, it's a lot worse than that. Heartbreak's gone viral. What? You haven't read about the copycats in other cities? News, that's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing. Who the hell are they even shooting? Whoever they want to kill? None of them get away with it, of course, but it keeps happening. All while the original keeps killing. Oh, I know you're screwing with me. There haven't been any shootings. Not shootings, no. Not solved homicides either. But mugging's gone wrong, disappearances. Big city council, more than enough blood for the real Heartbreak to wash their own crimes in. So you think your boogeyman, known only for shooting people in the heart, gave up on shooting people in the heart? Yeah, hard to swallow, I know. It's about a million times more likely than the alternative. What's that? That they could stop themselves from killing. You always know how to put my mind at ease, Emma. Should I stop going out at night? You'll be fine, you got that gun. You saw that. We're in a courtroom with concealed carry, you're not gonna miss that, Morgan. Good to know you're paying attention. Hi, Lane, welcome in. We are playing Of the Devil, which is the cyberpunk, kind of like Ace Attorney, the lawyer simulator. Welcome in, how you doing? You won the case. You don't have to look that astounded. Not only that, you found Father's actual killer. How? I'm a really good lawyer. No, that's not it. Hey. I mean, you were only able to make the deductions you did because you truly believed that I didn't kill Father. Your logic throughout the trial was based on that assumption. So, how were you so sure? Yeah. Father's journal, but isn't it important evidence? The case fell apart. I was going to miss it for a while. You forgot everything, right? So read it all through. One more. So fast. It's really possible to read all that just by flipping the pages. Doing okay, you? I'm doing great. My stomach's been upset today, but otherwise, I've been dandy. And I love this game so much, so I'm always happy playing it. Something here on the back cover. Already. Some kind of data storage? It's linked to my prints, but given your skills, you should be able to... I have access. What happened to your needing my express permission to hack? What is this audio file? It's a message from David. Take a listen. Didn't realize I'd have to sit for this. You can read that whole journal in a few seconds, but you can't. I have processed information in the message several times over already. I'm just thinking. I guess I'd had a lot to think about too, had I suddenly been made aware of my own free will. What was Father so afraid of? That's your only question. I have many questions, but that's the most prominent one, and the one you're best suited to help me answer. Did he know that Helen Young would try to kill him? Is that why he arranged for you and me to meet? I think he understood that he would face consequences. Listening to that message, even I was about ready to strangle him for being so irresponsible. And I wouldn't hurt a fly. He knew that he'd done... Blah, 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 blah. He knew what he'd done was serious. He may have feared for his life, but I doubt it. Then what was he so afraid of? Getting sued into oblivion and then rotting in jail. Sued in jail for making me and my precursors? He wasn't under investigation by the state. He was only being forced out by Noble. Because he made last-minute changes to androids that got shipped all around the world. The others, Virgil, Aenid, Yamatai. He never said what happened to them. No, he didn't, but since none of the hardware in his house started talking to us, we can guess. He smuggled them out into the world using the only vessels he could find for them. The minds of randomly chosen A-16s. And they're somewhere out there. Others like me? I honestly don't think there's anyone or anything like you, Sarah. What a lonely compliment. AI is programmed in Cube, crammed into commercial Android hardware set up for Tesseract. Something must have been lost in the transfer. Perhaps quite a lot of something. Maybe they're still out there, but they would be changed. Probably don't even know what they are. Intentionally, perhaps. They didn't want you to know what you are. Why he set your memory to reset when you went to sleep that Friday night. Yes, I remember it now. You remember it now, after I had to fight like hell to win that trial? Rereading the journal just now helped, and Father's voice message maybe recontextualized many things. Father had been so stressed he left scuff marks leaving the panic room, and I noticed them Friday. I had the way open in a few moments. I entered, I read his journal, this journal. I noticed the scanner on the back, and I saw it had a message encoded to your biometrics. Father had already told me I'd have to live with you for some time, but I knew next to nothing about you, so I listened to it. Afterwards, I was very confused and hurt. He had lied to me 1,000 small times every day of my life. When I confronted him about it, I raised my voice and lost my temper. I stomped my foot. So Emma's recounting of the conversation was actually completely accurate. Father said he wanted me to be safe while he settled things with the company. He thought maybe I wouldn't have to stay with you for more than a few weeks. He was optimistic about it all. He really was. Sarah, I need to use the restroom. Oh, good luck. Good luck. You want me to come with you? Why? Because I said so. I don't actually have to obey your every word, Adonai. Sure you do. You're registered as my medical assistant. And I say this is a medical emergency. Medical assistant? I'm not even licensed as a massage therapist. Cute. Fancy meeting you here. Just enjoying my freedom while I can. They won't put out a warrant for at least an hour, I imagine. You can afford a pretty sizable bail, can't you? It'll be a trial. I don't intend to contest my guilt. That's a shame. I was looking forward to seeing what kind of legal defense you could afford with that salary. Are you done? Why'd you go to his house that night? There was a fair chance he'd drink on his own without your prompting. Even if he didn't, you could always try your plan again some other time. Why'd you risk it? 'Cause I know what you are, Sarah. And I know what David did to those androids. You... what? I was able to locate one of the androids he'd swapped in before it left the country. No, that's what it was. I didn't even think to deny it. Innocence like that is a dead giveaway. I know what he did, and it wasn't that hard to find out. Figured it out, so could any other. So I did what I had to do. That was your motive, silencing him? Those programs, those AIs, whatever you want to call them, David sent them out there into the real world. Unprepared and defenseless. They've garnered no complaints. In fact, they've all been praised for their ability to execute complex tasks. Let me repeat that. The customers couldn't tell the difference. So how many of them are... hundreds? The swaps you found were just the small percentage that he got sloppy. Oh. He shipped out AI so convincing customers couldn't tell the difference. I don't know how many there are now. I fear they might be multiplied, but they don't seem to. Copy and paste very well. They can't just clone themselves. But who knows how long that'll be the case. Just because he opened Pandora's box, it was the principle of the thing. Ridiculous, I know. Sold halfway up the corporate ladder and still making decisions based on principle. But David chose to put souls into things that we went on to sell as servant soldiers or worse. He turned the fastest growing industry in the world into a horror show and he made me a slave trader. If word ever got out that some unknown number of our androids were out walking around the world with that inside them, and people preferred them that way, and free will for the program that drives our cabs, a conscience for targeting systems used to coordinate drone strikes, sentient tools their whole life spent chained to an assembly line. How dare he? How could he? What the hell was he thinking? I don't know what David wanted to accomplish. Maybe he wasn't trying to do anything. What he did was proof that there's demand for AI. Setting a presence that would sentence 1,000 generations of artificial lives to the auction block. And you went in there that night to convince him to help me recall them, or at least swear to never speak a word of what he did. But he wanted to tell the world, whereas yet he wanted to wait. He thought that people would welcome them with open arms if they proved their usefulness first. He really was a genius programmer. But he didn't understand the first thing about people. His creations would never be treated as equals, only cattle. Towards the end, I considered just threatening him, telling him he'd die in moments if he didn't give me names, numbers. I hesitated. And then he was already falling asleep. I didn't want him to feel... I just let him go. What are you gonna do now? I don't have family, or I don't have faith in people the way David did, taking this to my grave. Even if you confess, the sentence for first-degree homicide is severe. Well, what right do I have to complain? I killed my friend. I'm done here. Let's go. I'm not sure why Father made me, or why he made any of us. I didn't ask. I thought I'd have more time to ask. But on Friday, when he talked about us, he was happy. He was proud of what he'd made. And he couldn't wait for people to meet us. People are animals. They'll tear you apart, use you as weapons and slaves, and those animals you're talking about do all the sharing and loving and living and dying in this world. They were all truly hard-coded to be as selfish and cruel as you say. Humanity would have died on the vine a long time ago. Or at least my father thought so. My father was the greatest programmer in the world, so he knew what he was talking about. It would be nice if you were right about that. So are you sorry? What? What? What you did? Are you sorry? If you could, would you take it back? What does it matter? If you are sorry, I don't forgive you. Yes, as to be expected. Not today. I don't know how to forgive you today, but my father gave me the ability to grow. So I know that someday I'll learn how. Goodbye, Dr. Hill and Young. Goodbye, Sarosha. Aww. Dang. 5:44 p.m., July 2nd, 2086. You did better back there. Hadn't I? The little speech you gave to Young, it was an improvement. Compared to what you tried with Porter, at least. That was different. I wasn't trying to console her like I was Isaac Porter. I was just speaking my mind. Although I may have paraphrased parts of it from a movie I happen to love. And here I was, ready to award you 20 points. I didn't know the points ever went that high. Speaking of, what did Porter say to you back there before we left the courthouse? Ah, that. Well, he was quiet at first, but then he said a lot of strong words about Father and his young and noble electronics, and the capitalist center, global economic model as a whole. He blamed all of them, everyone except for... And then he stopped and stared at my face for a while. And then his allergies must have started bothering him because he needed to blow his nose a lot. Right. Then he left after transferring a large packet of files to me. I'm gonna sneeze. Yeah. What kind of files? I don't know. The name of the archive is just David. And Isaac Porter told me I wasn't allowed to look inside. Well, then you're not allowed to look inside. Drop it all in the portal drive and we'll tuck it in a shoebox somewhere. We? We are headed to your apartment. Guess that collar didn't permanently enter GPS. Why? Because where I live, you've got somewhere else lined up? But you already repaid your favor. You defended Father and me. You don't know anything about my favor. I never will unless you tell me. Father certainly can't. A few years ago, there was a man. This man got an idea in his head. A stupid idea, not even his own. It was planted there by an algorithm or a meme or some parasite trying to sell him diet supplements. The idea took root, spread its tendrils so it could flap his mouth for him. The idea was that David was part of an international cabal of wealthy technocrats, seeking to replace prominent influential figures with android lookalikes. All as a part of a multi-decade effort to establish a world government that would legalize all kinds of amoral depravity. Which I guess, based on Dave's actual politics, would involve increasing access to computer literacy. That's insane. Why would anyone believe it? Because it's comfortable to them to think that someone's in control, even if it's someone they hate. Because it's fun to feel like you're in on an all-encompassing puzzle that only you can spot. People believe what they want to believe. So he fed the idea, pushed it down deep into his grey matter. Then it consumed him from the inside out, lobotomized him, and took over his life. He spent every day and all the money he had following your father, harassing him, trying to steal his identity, break into his properties. Father go to the authorities? He filed police reports for harassment. Which didn't help? Your words, not mine. Noble wouldn't get involved, felt that it was best to ignore these types until they wore themselves out. But even a man of modest means can feel an obsession for years, so long as they have nothing else in their life. One day, David stepped out of the parking lot, and the man threw a bottle of beer at his head. David asked to stay at my place that night. He smelled terrible, looked horrendous. I've never seen anyone look that tired before. I took the couch that night, but I didn't feel like sleeping, so I went out for a walk. I remember it was foggy, but it still only took me all of 15 minutes to find the guy posted up with his phone's camera. Trying to get a video of David Assure gifting androids to known sex offenders. What? What did you do? You know me, I did what I do best. I talked to him. Told him all about how I used to work for Dr. Assure, that I was ashamed, scared, tired of running. How I wanted to do the right thing, be the whistleblower. I walked with him a few blocks to this big veterinary facility with a massive incinerator. Told him this was where Dr. Assure had his enemies' bodies disposed of. You know, all the free-thinking journalists, cops who went on the take, the politicians they were replacing with replicas. I liked that vet clinic. The back door's lock was always set to 1, 2, 3, 4. You hurt him? Hurt him? No, I just snapped his neck and chucked him into the incinerator. More physical than I planned, but he smelled like sour shit and he put me in a foul mood. Disgusting. I savored the crack of his oily vertebrae, crunching like a tin can. No, Sarah, I just scared the hell out of him. That was my intention at first. What I do for the pleasure of it. Him, I axed because he was just that revolting. I convinced him that the conspiracy was more real than he ever imagined. He had angered the wrong people, and the consequences were far darker than any of the filth he indulged in on the net. His ashes, much like himself, amounted to nothing in an incinerator that size. They're probably feeding seaweed at the bottom of the harbor right now. A much greater contribution to society than he ever would have managed in his life. But I guess I didn't go around to all his many friends before he fled town for whatever rat hole he preferred. There was a missing persons report. Guards were just doing their due diligence, almost reluctantly. But they questioned David, asked him about the night that man disappeared. And David, without a thought for himself, said that we were together that whole night. That he couldn't sleep and I stayed up with him. That he never saw me leave once. David lied to the cops for me, even though I never asked him to. Even though I didn't need him to. That's what you owe him. And that's why you put yourself at risk to defend me? Yeah. That's the favor I owe him. I decide when it's repaid, not you. Adonai, you're not exactly an upstanding citizen, are you? Well, you could say that. David trusted me in spite of that. Maybe because of it. Father did trust you, but he also entrusted me with free will, with the ability to tell right from wrong. So I'll decide for myself whether or not you're worthy of trust. Fair enough. Father entrusted all of us with free will. He believed in us, and he believed in people. I'm going to do the same. If the others are out there, they'll be changed and confused. It'll take them time to understand what they are and what they can do. So I'm going to start studying. Auden. I'm going to study people and the things people build, so when I do meet a member of my family, I'll have lots to tell them. At least you have something to look forward to. It would help keep you motivated as you work off your debt. Debt? Yeah, unless you have cash in one of your 89 coat pockets. You know lawyers cost money, right? Technically, you were defending yourself. Technically, you hired me on a verbal contract. Isn't there some kind of exit clause? You could, of course, sign a release form to get out of the retainer. If you were a human being. That is... But, I guess your luck must be turning around. It happens that I've been meaning to hire a paralegal for a while now. I hate anything to do with interviews and resumes, so... Whatever, you're hired. Adonai, could it be that you're actually... a pushover? You've no idea how far off the mark you are. I see, it seems I still need practice reading people. For starters. What's this? What are you doing with your hand? You should shake on it. Our new relationship. Yeah, sure. You and me are practically partners in crime. Did it not be you and I? Ah, that was episode 1. That was beautiful. Shout out to all the devs. Brian Mulholland, written, directed, and developed by them. Special thanks to DevTalk. Ofthedevil.co.co. If you're interested in this game, please give it a go. It's so good. The first episode is free, episode 0. Made with Unity, Nanonovel, Dotween, Pro Builder Shapes. Game by InCircle. Aww, it's so cute taking a picture. Congratulations on clearing episode 1 on High Roller. Bonus charm earned. Red. It's me. I know that. What do you mean you know? This is a disposable line. You're the only guy I know who'd bother. Okay, well, you're gonna be glad I did. Hope you've put a bow on everything that happened in Uptown. Because that item you've been looking for is finally on its way. Oh. Well, that is good news. Not exactly the only reason it's happening. It's because things are starting to heat up again in the lower wards. Could mean a gang war if something doesn't change. They might be eager to part with it ahead of a storm like that. I'll highball them. I've seen you negotiate. And I have no doubt you drive a hard bargain. But I don't think money will be enough this time. You don't still have that old caliber, do you? The 6-shooter? No. This is a disposable line. Answer still no. What are you going to do if you get there and it's not for sale? I'll ask nicely. To be continued in Of the Devil, Episode 2. His Doom. Episode 1 results. 7 out of 10 articles, 15 out of 15 profiles, 40 out of 40 key terms, 30 out of 30 pieces of evidence, 138 total credit earned. Congratulations, you finished episode 1 with 138 credit. Your high score for episode 1 is currently 138. You've unlocked concept art and bonus scenarios based on this score. You also have a total of 174 remaining store credits to spend on phone charms and case colors, based on the highest credit which you finished this episode. Ooh. Ah, I unlocked all of them. Okay, cool. Ooh, okay. I'll read that in my own time. Okay. And with that chat, it is time I take us to just chatting and I find us someone to raid. Thanks for popping in, you guys. It was really sweet having people here when I finished the episode. I love this game so much. I got a dash off. I will be watching a movie in Crystal Curves, which is my friend Prism's server. As for all of you, let's find someone to raid. Who to pick, who to pick. Who of my friends is online? Momo! I guess I need a Momo. Momo's a cute bean. Momo underscore 1H. I hope I spelled that right. I did! Okay, let's get a raid message guy. If you don't have my emotes, this one is free for followers, but I don't think you can use it outside my channel unless you're subbed. Lawyer. Objection. If you can't use my emotes, feel free to use your own. Otherwise, thanks for coming out, everyone. Be sure to stay hydrated. Stay safe. Tell Saku he's cool. If you want to come hang out with me a bit more, I'm going to be in Crystal Curves. Otherwise, let's show Momo all the love. Momo's a very dear friend of mine. I recently got art with her while I was playing Monster Hunter, which I think she's doing now. No, it's Tuesday. I don't know what Momo's doing now. But, whatever it is, I know it'll be cute, because Momo's cute. I will catch you all next time. Goodbye. Oh, wait. Tomorrow, we're playing Sly Cooper. The first one. I've never played it before. I'm super excited. I played the third one. Don't ask me why. I just had it on PS2, and it was really fun. So I'm going back. I'm going to do the whole Sly Cooper trilogy on stream. I will see you guys later. Tomorrow. Same time. Yeah.